Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into your home for political play-by-play, the Owen Report, with you on this Monday, July 20th, 2026. We really have to just embrace the Groundhog Day nature of it all. What do we got today? Well, we got war. We got more war in the Middle East. That's what we got today. We do have a bunch of other news. There are other geopolitical developments. In fact, there's been so much. The stack today is overwhelming. We're going to do everything we possibly can to get you all of the news today. It's going to take more than 3 hours, but we'll give it our best effort. I think the saddest thing as we sit here today, at least that we know of, 17 dead U.S. soldiers in this new Iran war. 17. We get the name of 2 more from over the weekend. I don't know. That's the official number. A lot of people think that it's more than that. It'd be hard to believe it's not more than that. Let's hope that that's it. Let's hope that that's all there's going to be. But based off of what we have heard from the Trump administration in the last 3 days, it looks like this thing is just getting started. It looks like this thing is just getting started. And when you consider what's really at play, and then you start to look at, okay, well, what does it really mean what Trump is saying today, or what Rubio is saying today, or what Hegseth is saying today? Yeah. It looks like there was never going to be no new wars, guys. It's even worse. It's not even a broken promise. It was a lie. It looks like it was just a lie. Be one thing if it was just a broken promise. A lie is totally different. Now you're just staring at a lie. Now we'll look at some of the things that Trump said. And then today, waking up and letting you know that protecting Netanyahu is his biggest concern. And it's funny because there's rational people. There's still rational people that support Trump. But eventually there's going to be that moment. There's going to be that headline. There's going to be that hyperbolic statement, that irony. And then eventually they're going to say, well, wait a second, this doesn't add up. So I see a lot of people today. I'm going to give some examples of this. A lot of people today are looking at the Trump administration and saying, hey, why did Trump campaign against Thomas Massie and not John Thune? Oh, you don't know why. You haven't figured out the why yet, really. You have to ask, do you really not know the why, or are you just too afraid to say the why because of your status in the media? Because the why's been obvious to most of us for about a year now, for many of us longer than a year. But so we'll kind of look at that. But the reason why that moment, if it's happening now, I don't know if you're going to buy into this today. But you're going to see these people asking, okay, wait a second. We can't get a SAVE Act passed, but we get more war in the Middle East. Trump campaigns against Thomas Massie, but not against John Thune. And so they're starting to ask the right questions. They're starting to see the right things, and they're starting to ask the right questions. Can they put the 2 and 2 together? Eventually, everybody gets there, guys. This is what I've been saying. Eventually, everybody gets there. Everybody eventually sees the things that we see. It's just a matter of time. So we'll take a look at that. And then what's going on with gas prices? What is going on with gas prices? What is going on with the Strategic Oil Reserve? This is also in the news today. And then we've got some other political developments that we're going to highlight No idea, guys. Absolutely no idea. None at all. Internet never went down. Show just went down. You know, you're sitting in the studio for 3 hours and then you go live and immediately the show just shuts down. So it's all good. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. Let's just power through it today. If the issues continue, maybe I'll have a crash out. All right. Disrupted in the intro there. So let's just let it go. Let's just let it go. And what am I supposed to think, guys? What am I supposed to think? What am I supposed to think? You tell me. I'll tell you what I think. I think it's time to get into gold. I think it's time to get into precious metals. That's what I think. And if you're going to do it, you got to be wise. You got to be smart. You got to go with somebody that you can trust. That's why I've partnered with Allegiance Gold. Now, why do I say you can trust them? Because everybody trusts them. Nearly 10,000 clients nationwide, A-plus review with the Better Business Bureau. A-plus review with the Better Business Bureau. And they want to make sure that you're fully confident and understanding of the decisions that you're making. That's why the phone call is free. 844-790-9191, 844-790-9191, or go to protectwithowen.com. Hey, while you've got them on the phone, ask them about $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments. You heard that right. $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings. They make it simple to move into something real before the next reset, which we all have a feeling is right around the corner. There's signs of it every day. Don't be behind it. Get ahead of it. Give them our friends at Allegiance Gold a call, 844-790-9191, or go to protectwithowen.com. That's protectwithowen.com. Protect your wealth because no one else will.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Hey, did you guys see, your government loves giving all this money away. You know that? They really do. And most of it is, for globalist purposes, you might say. And they voted for another $2 billion for Jordan. They need to give $2 billion to Jordan. Do you know why the U.S. gives all this money to countries in the Middle East and countries in the Gulf nation states and countries that would have Israel as an enemy or would have their own geopolitical issues with Israel? Do you know why? I think I just told you why, didn't I? I think I just told you why. We literally have to pay off all of these countries in the Middle East with foreign aid. Now $2 billion to Jordan just as a, hey, can you leave Israel alone? Just, hey, can you guys leave Israel alone? Here's some billions of dollars from the U.S. taxpayers. Here's a couple more $1 billion from the United States of America. Can you just leave Israel alone? So they did it again. Congratulations. Congratulations, hardworking, tax-paying Americans. We've done it again. We've done it again. And now we're also signing weapon contracts deals with Iraq. It's pretty funny. You got to say, it's pretty funny, except it's just total and outright corruption. And so that's what we're dealing with here. Well, it is Groundhog's Day today. It is Groundhog's Day. It is, it's the Monday, July 20th version of Groundhog's Day, but it's still war. You know, something's going to give. We're getting close, but something is going to give inside of the Republican Party. Because you have Tom Homan up here, and I've got the video, and he gets emotional. He starts crying. And he's talking about all of the violence that ICE or even himself have had to endure. And he's talking about how he can't really live a normal life and go to the grocery store and all of this other stuff. And he gets a little emotional. And I can certainly understand where he's coming from. You know, some of us have kind of had to live that life for a long time. Some of us have had to deal with that for years. We can relate to what he's going through. But I can't help but I can't help it. It's natural human nature. I mean, I do feel bad for him, but it's natural human nature as I'm watching it to just think like, you know, it's like, haven't we been warning about this? It's like we've been sitting here warning about the violent leftists in this country for a decade now. We've been warning you about this. We thought you were going to take serious action about this, and now you didn't. And the repercussions are starting to fall back onto the Trump administration officials again. So it's like Groundhog's Day. It's like everything about this administration is Groundhog's Day again. We're going to complain about violent leftists. Like, oh, okay. We've won the war in Iran again. Okay. We're just sitting here watching the same news report every day. So no, I feel bad. I feel bad for Tom Homan. He doesn't deserve this. I feel bad for any ICE agents that are having to deal with political terrorism. But I can't help. It reminds me, if you're a big fan of South Park, you'll remember the episode where they have the hippie takeover. They have a big hippie takeover in South Park. And at the beginning of the episode, Eric Cartman is warning about the hippie takeover. And so they put him in jail. So they put Eric Cartman in jail because he's trying to stop the hippie takeover. And then eventually the hippies take over and they go to the jail cell. And they're like, oh, can you help us? Can you help us get rid of the hippies? It's like, what have you done? What have you done? That's what it's like every day. It's like you look at, hey, gas is going up. What have you done? Hey, another violent attack against ICE officers. What have you done? Hey, we've got another development in the Middle East, this war with Iran. 17 Americans have died now. What have you done? And then Mark Wayne Mullen thinks that he can play a shell game with you, and he shares this photo. It's like 100 people getting boarded onto a plane for deportations, and he's like, great day for deportations, like great weather for deportations, we're doing the deportation. It's like, dude, you share a photo of maybe 100 people getting deported. We're getting our asses kicked. We're getting our asses kicked. And every time you hear about these mass deportations that are not happening, they are not happening. Every time you hear about some new illegal immigration story and the MAGA people or the Trump administration, you know, who's ever still engaging in this active defense, who's ever still in this active defense position of the Trump administration, and they'll say, hey, we're winning on migration. This is their excuse. They can't declare victory, so they just refuse to admit defeat. It's like, well, at least it's not Kamala Harris. And they'll say, we're winning on immigration. Look at net migration. The numbers are down. I'm going to continue to say this. We have to beat this into the consciousness of the debate when it comes to the mass deportations that are not happening. Every time you hear somebody say, we're winning, look at the numbers, look at the net migration numbers, we're winning, say, no. we're getting our asses kicked. That's like if you lost the first half, if you're down 100 points in the first half and then you're up 20 points in the second half. But that's not even accurate. It'd be like if you were down 100 points in the first half and then you're up 2 points in the second half. That's their argument on migration. No, we are not winning on migration. We are down 20 million on migration, probably 40 million. Don't tell me we're winning on migration. Anybody trying to sell you that is either just not deep enough to really do political analysis, or they're just in some weird Trump defense mindset where just everything has to defend Trump, because there's no reality to it. You're not getting mass deportations, and you're losing as far as the numbers are concerned. You're getting your butt kicked. So let me know when the Trump administration has deported 20 million people, and then you can say you're winning on the numbers. Then I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you then. But let's just get to these news headlines. I mean, this is the big one. The 17 U.S. service members killed in the Iran war. I mean, this should be it, guys. I'm sorry to say. And it is for the no new war people, for the people that no new war actually meant something to them. You know, there's people that voted for Trump that didn't, no new wars might not have really impacted their decision. But for many, it did. For many, certainly enough to swing an election. And this is it. This is it for the no new war people. This is it. This is it for people like me. This is it for younger Americans, at least as far as the majority is concerned of younger Americans. We're sick of hearing about American men and women dying in the Middle East. We're sick and damn tired of it. And what makes it even heavier today, or what makes it even heavier during this administration, is that this is clearly being done for foreign and special interests. This war is clearly in Israel's interest. This war has clearly been bought by the Israeli lobby. And so that's what makes it so heavy. Now, you can get into the history of U.S. involvement in the Middle East. You can get into the history post 9/11, and there's similar arguments that can be made. But it's never been so overwhelmingly obvious, and it's never been so overwhelmingly accepted by the American people that this is the reality of the current war in Iran. 100% for Israel's interest, 100% bought by the Israeli lobby. And so this is it. Let's be honest. Let's just say what it is. If it was Joe Biden, all of the Trump defenders, all of the MAGA media, all of the right-wing mainstream network media would all be putting this blood on Biden's hands. They would all be putting this blood on the Biden administration. They would all be attacking Joe Biden, saying he's responsible for these lives lost in the Middle East. That would be the entire narrative over the weekend and into today to start the week. 100%, everybody knows it's true. So it shows you the disingenuous nature of many people on the right wing. Maybe it shows you the brainwashed cult nature of the MAGA and Trump defenders that cannot have logical consistency. But I think worse than both of those things is the big realization. We are sick and tired of spending U.S. blood and treasure in the Middle East on behalf of foreign interests. We are so over it, it's almost impossible to even explain at this point, except you've watched Trump go from an American hero politically to now looked at as a foreign interest traitor. And if you didn't vote for Trump, you'd say the exact same thing about Biden. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to yourselves. Don't lie to the American people. You know that's true. These are young Americans, by the way. First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan, 25 years old, of Ewa Beach, Hawaii. Private Isabella Gonzalez, 19 years old, of Carlton, Texas. 2 soldiers killed over the weekend in an Iranian attack on a base in Jordan. So you see, you put our soldiers out there in the Middle East like bait on a hook. You put them in Jordan. Jordan gets attacked because Trump starts a war with Iran. We have to pay Jordan $2 billion. This just happened in Congress. We just paid Jordan $2 billion to just stay out of it. It's like, yeah, Jordan, sorry, we know you get bombed because we work on behalf of Israel in your country. Here's $2 billion. Can you stay quiet? Here's $2 billion. Is that enough to keep you quiet? And then 2 American soldiers come home in body bags. And we'll see. I don't know. Does Trump even go to these ceremonies anymore? We'll see. You know, I'm not the big appearances hawk with Trump. You know, I don't mind when he does the golf stuff and all of that. You know, he works enough. With Biden, it was different. Biden didn't work enough to get that clearance. But this is one he's going to have to be at, guys. This is one he's going to have to be at. If he doesn't show up when these troops arrive, it's going to look bad. He's got to be there. I'd be advising it. I'd say, Trump, you have to be there, President Trump. I don't care what your schedule is. We'll try to make the whole thing work for you if we have to. But you have to be there for this because this is bad. And if you're not there for this, it's going to make you look very callous. And it's going to make you look like you don't want to own up to this, is what it's going to look like. Now, there's some other things that Trump has done and said since. I want to go to this clip from Trump reacting to this. This is Joint Base Andrews. And he's taking some questions from the media upon arrival after the World Cup yesterday back heading to the White House. What he says here, I think, is very telling and heartbreaking.
Well, we feel very badly, but, you know, those great people, those great patriots were out there fighting that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
I mean, guys, this is it. This is the big betrayal of Trump. There's no other way to put it, guys. This is the big betrayal of Trump. Everybody knows this is pure propaganda. Everybody knows this is the same propaganda that they have run against the American people so that we would support more intervention in the Middle East on Israel's behalf. Specifically with the Iranian nukes situation, it's even worse because it's a much shorter period of time that we're dealing with. So you're not dealing with people kind of forgetting what happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago, like a lot of this propaganda. This is stuff Trump was just saying a year ago. This is stuff Trump was just saying a month ago. We obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities. We did Operation Midnight Hammer so that Americans didn't have to die in the Middle East. That's what we were told a year ago today. When Trump first broke one of his biggest campaign promises to not get us in a new war in the Middle East, when he broke that and launched Operation Midnight Hammer, the excuse was we had to do this so that American men and women wouldn't die. And we chose this route so that there wouldn't be boots on the ground and that American men and women wouldn't die in combat. That was the whole thing sold to us a year ago. When they first broke the promise, and it was clear where it was going, but they were trying to, well, we're not really breaking promises here. This is really not what you think it is. And now Trump comes out and says it. You died keeping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. So you lied, you son of a bitch. You lied. And you owe every single American an apology. And you owe every single family member of the 17 men and women that have died in this new war that you promised wouldn't happen, you owe all of them an apology too. And if you want to go do an ass-kissing tour on behalf of Benjamin Netanyahu, then go ahead. If you want to be Benjamin Netanyahu's little lapdog here in the United States and go apologize to all the family members that have lost their children now because you've totally sold us out on foreign policy to Israel, then you can go ahead and do that. But that's what you owe them. That's what you owe the American people. And the fact that you're going to come out here and make a statement and say, they died stopping Iran from getting a nuke. This is the lowest moment, I think, of the entire thing, quite frankly. This is where Trump has decided, I'm not even going to try to be honest anymore. I'm not even going to try to pretend to care anymore. I'm not even going to bother with optics or messaging anymore. I'm just going to stick to the propaganda that nobody believes and just move on completely heartlessly. That's what this says to me. When everybody knows it's the big lie. Everybody knows it's the big lie. And he just came out and said, yep, you died for a big lie. Trump just stepped right in front of the media. He stepped off of Air Force One. He stepped right in front of the media. We were waiting to get an answer after he's jumping around at the World Cup, making an ass of himself, by the way. As men and women are dying in the Middle East in a war that he promised he wouldn't start, he's laughing it up at the World Cup, acting like a buffoon on the stage. What a national embarrassment. And then he's going to go in front of the media and he's going to say, yeah, 17 Americans have died over a lie. And these latest 2 Americans, they died over a lie too. It's despicable. It's unforgivable.
Well, we feel very badly, but those great people, those great patriots were out there fighting that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
He probably doesn't even know their names. He just says, those great people. He probably doesn't even know their names. That's what I'm saying, folks. He doesn't even care anymore. He's not even trying anymore, guys. This is Trump throwing his hands up saying, I don't care. Let him die. I'll lie. Who cares? That's what this is now.
Iran has been very, very badly damaged. They've lost everything.
And now it's your Groundhog's Day moment. Now it's your Groundhog's Day moment. The same thing he said a week ago, the same thing he said a month ago, the same thing he said 2 months ago, the same thing he said 6 months ago, the same thing he said a year ago. Now you're just back into the Groundhog's Day loop.
Most militarily, they've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some manufacturing ability, not much. We control the Strait. They don't control anything. So we'll see what happens. But we hit them very hard again tonight. And we did that in honor of the probably 3. It's probably 3 as opposed to 2.
Oh, so it's even worse. So exactly. So who knows how many have actually died? 17 is the number they give us. It's probably more than that. I mean, I don't understand how anybody can defend this. Look, you still want to like Trump. You still want to support the president. You still want to do the left-right paradigm. Oh, I'm fighting liberals. Left-right, yeah. Hey, whatever. You still want to do all that? That's fine. If this doesn't outrage you, if this isn't your last straw, at least on foreign policy, I don't know what is. And it just goes to show, it's really so heartbreaking. It just goes to show, and I've always felt this way too. I've always felt this way on air. It goes to show that at the end of the day, I don't want to sound too demeaning here, but it goes to show at the end of the day that most of these people, at least in positions of power, at least in the political world, all these people that care or pretend to care, rather, all these people that pretend to care about veterans and pretend to care about our men and women overseas, they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. If you aren't outraged that now more than a dozen of Americans have had to die again in another foreign interest war in the Middle East, you don't care. You do not care about campaign promises. You do not care about the men and women that serve in the United States military. You simply do not care. If you are willing to go down this merry-go-round again, and you're willing to just scoff and say, oh, yeah, they died to stop Iran from getting a nuke. If you're willing to do this again, you really don't care. And to me, this is what Trump is putting off. He doesn't care. And you might disagree. Maybe you say, oh, well, I disagree with that analysis. Well, you know what? Guess what? Most people do agree. Most people do agree, and that's how this is perceived right now from this administration. And then he comes out and he's gonna tell you, oh, Benjamin Netanyahu will not be arrested in any way, shape, or form while in the United States of America. Why is Trump even saying this? Because I guess he's coming here for Lindsey Graham's funeral, and I don't know, maybe there's somebody inside our political system or our justice system that has a spine or a pair of balls to bring in the most wanted war criminal in the world. We know it's not Trump. It looks like Israel has Trump by the balls or by the bank account or something else. So here's Trump taking a mighty stand for Netanyahu, the most wanted war criminal in the world, a guy who has tricked him into another war in the Middle East, a guy who has destroyed his entire legacy. Netanyahu has destroyed Trump's legacy. Trump's legacy will go where Netanyahu's legacy goes now. Trump has now tied his legacy to Netanyahu's. And we all know what Netanyahu's legacy is going to be. So here's Trump simping for Netanyahu. Says he is fighting against the Islamic Republic of Iran, which recently killed 52,000 innocent protesters. And now it's 52,000. Just a month ago, Trump was asked about 30,000. Just a month ago, Trump was asked about 37,000 protesters killed. And he basically was like, yeah, that's not true. That's basically a whole lie. Now he's saying it's 52,000. And they've spent 47 years killing American soldiers and others. Where? The only ones that should be arrested are the people that led Iran into this unprecedented spiral of death and destruction, something that should have been dealt with years ago by previous presidents. Unbelievable traitor. Trump is reminding us what an unbelievable traitor he is today. And I guess those soldiers were just bait. Trump says every time Iran kills an American soldier, they will pay for that killing many times over. This directive has been passed on to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Daniel Kaine, and every leader in the military. I'm sick. I'm sick. I can't even explain what betrayal I feel from this. It's beyond foreign policy, guys. This is beyond foreign policy. This is outright using American men and women as cannon fodder. This is stealing from you and I. This is forcing us to be slaves for the foreign lobbyists and foreign interests. And now it's more blood. And now it's more death. Whatever. You take more of my money, okay. Now you're taking more of our men and women. Now you're taking more of good American people. Oh, I mean, this is so despicable. They put our military bases in the Middle East. They put them right next to the country that they're attacking. So they attack Iran, and that's all this was. They were provoking Iran to attack our bases. They used the American men and women as bait. That's what they did. That's what this disgusting, perverted, diabolical, traitorous administration did. Just like every other administration before it. Let's be clear. This isn't the first administration. It's all of them. They all did this. Now, I'll give you a little update. I'll give you a little next year's news today. Maybe this one takes a little bit longer to catch tread, considering the circumstances. But I'm going to tell you this right now. A lot of men and women in the military have already reached this conclusion, guys. You don't think they've figured this out? These are young kids. They know how to use social media. You don't think they've figured all of this out? These aren't boomers, okay? The people that are fighting and dying in this war, they're not boomers. They're young Americans. They know what's going on. They know how to use social media. They don't feel good about this. And now they've got it. And now they've got it. Oh, we just put tens of thousands of Americans all around Iran, and then we bombed them for an entire year. And now they bombed us back. They bombed the people we put right next to them back. Oh my gosh, we got to go to war. We got to savage them now. We've got to do the boots on the ground. We've got to do the regime change now. It's disgusting. And I can't tell if this is a rhetorical question from Tim Pool. I don't know. You know, he's got to play his own little games in media. Tim Pool says, Trump did everything to get Massey removed. He is doing nothing about John Thune. I have been personally told the administration is mad at me for saying this over and over. Oh, please. Oh, please, Tim. Well, let's see. Let's see how far Tim wants to take this. I mean, Tim obviously knows where the popular opinion has gone, but Tim also knows how to not get censored and how to maintain access in politics. So this is the tightrope that Tim Pool has to walk every day. But Tim, do you really not know why Trump went after Massey and not John Thune? Seriously? Do you seriously not know why? Now, I look, there's no way that Tim Pool, with all of his experience in media, with all of the people that he talks to, there's no way he does not understand this. Because if he doesn't understand this, then why would anybody listen to him ever for news and analysis? Obviously, I'll give Tim the signal here in case he's not figured it out yet. The reason why Trump went after Massey and not Thune is because Massey is not owned by the Israeli lobby and John Thune is. Any further questions? Any other questions? Because that's it. It's very simple. It's not complicated at all. All right, class. Okay, class dismissed. Time for your quiz, guys. Let's see how many people listened to today's lesson. Why did President Trump go after Thomas Massey and not John Thune? Class, what do you think? Who is paying attention? Who is taking notes? Why did Trump do everything to get rid of Massey and not John Thune? We will be releasing grades at the end of the semester. That's not the only one. You have a bunch of other MAGA people that are starting to look at some of these personalities. ALX pointing out this Batya Ungar Sargon. Nice. Batya is a pro-abortion radical and self-described Marxist, leftist, and feminist who somehow infiltrated the MAGA movement. Somehow infiltrated the MAGA movement. Oh, ALX. He has to play a different game than Tim Pool. He says, here she is boosting the biggest never-Trumper in Congress, attacking J.D. Vance. That's Don Bacon. We can all see what's really going on here. Yes. Yes, we can. We certainly can. We're all very starry-eyed watching it all go down, aren't we? Yes, we are. Now, by the way, this is a larger thing that went down over the weekend. In fact, you know, guys, I got to tell you, I'm telling you this because this is kind of the dynamic playing out. As I've always said, if you listen to this broadcast or just if you understand things that we understand, you're always ahead of everybody else. Sometimes it's years, sometimes it's months, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's days. We're always ahead of everybody else. I'm telling you guys, this is an unavoidable conclusion that everybody is about to come to. Tim Pool knows why Trump goes after Thune and not Massey. If anything, this is Tim kind of leveraging his own following or his own platform to say, hey, don't cut me out. Don't cut me out just because I want to do commentary that might not be friendly to the administration. Don't cut me out because maybe I will tell people why he's supporting Thune and not Massey. That's kind of how I read that. I think Tim knows. And ALX and many others. It's like, who is this Ungar Sargon person? But those are just two samples of what we all got a taste of, really for the last couple of months, but really heavily this weekend after Vance went on Rogan. It's every time Vance does these tours, Trump sends Vance out to do these media tours to try to help Trump's image. Trump sends Vance out to do these media tours to try to corral some of the anti-war people on the right. It's like, hey, you don't like the policies, but, you know, we're diverse in here. Not everybody inside likes it either. You know, here's Vance for you. See, he'll call out the lobbyists. He doesn't like the war. See, it's all good, right? So they've run this playbook twice now. And then Vance does so well because what Vance is talking about is populist. So Vance goes out and does the media tour. He handles the questions well because he gets where all sides are coming from. And I think that just generationally, he's more of kind of the anti-war, get out of the Middle East crowd. So that's kind of where he goes. But he's got to play all sides. But he does so well. So immediately what happens is Trump sends Vance out to try to help with the approval rating on the foreign policy. Vance does so well that his approval rating goes up. And now all of a sudden he becomes a favorite for 2028. And so the Israeli lobby, who Marco Rubio is their candidate, and they need somebody that's going to commit to never ending wars for Israel. Vance is showing maybe he won't do that. So all the Israel lobby every time comes after Vance. And you see this every time. You see this cycle. You see the same pattern. Vance does a media tour, does really well, gains popularity. The Israeli lobby attacks him and says, this is why we need Rubio. So everybody witnessed this over the weekend. But, you know, this, by the way, in case you don't know, you may have seen this video. So Betya Ungar Sargon, and she's on Fox News all the time, of course. She did a show a couple of years ago. I guess she was still identifying as a leftist communist at this point. But she used to go and do for the anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, you know, anti-Semitic left. She would do these presentations and she would explain how all that woke stuff, all the woke stuff that the left supports, that the left, you know, this is what they're fighting for, transgenderism, fighting racism, all of the, you know, all that stuff. She did a whole presentation, literally how all of that comes from Jewish values, how all of that was, well, not even that way. She didn't say it like that. Let me get this right. She said all of these policies, all of these woke left policies all come from Jews. And she was making this argument to anti-Semitic leftists that, hey, all the woke stuff that we love, Jews did this. We need to love Jews. We need to embrace Jews. So she did a whole presentation. This was years ago. Now she's MAGA. She's Fox News MAGA. She's on air every day telling you how Israel's the best. And so, but that's what it shows you. Was she always there for someone else's interest, or do her politics move as far as who supports Israel the most? If it's Republicans, I like Republicans. If it's Democrats, I like Democrats. What is going on here? But everybody can see it. Everybody can see it, especially over the weekend with the Vance stuff. I do think we have a Shapiro. I might have gotten rid of the Shapiro, but Shapiro was at it attacking Vance again this weekend as well. Shapiro's a big surveillance state guy, you know. The same people that support the surveillance state are the same people that support the war in the Middle East, by the way. Wonder why that is. And why is it that there seems to be only one issue that Democrats and Republicans agree on, that being Israel? Here's John Fetterman and Leo Terrell. If there was a competition for who can cuck the hardest for Israel, it's got to be Terrell, right? I think Leo Terrell is winning the Israel cuck competition, followed closely by Mike Huckabee, formerly known as Cuckabee. But I think Terrell cucks even harder because he doesn't even really have an official position. And then Fetterman is back, and he's got a new, it looks like he ran into another door frame or something. He's got a new, somebody's bludgeoned him again over the eye. What is going on here, man? What in the hell is going on here? So Fetterman goes on Fox News to talk about how he and Lindsey Graham had a special relationship because they both loved Israel so much.
This is a great point. And, you know, I've seen you with Lindsey Graham. I've seen you with other Republicans trying to work together. You are a Democrat, and yet you are not afraid to reach across the aisle. And yet your colleagues are attacking even the legacy of the former South Carolina Senator, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. I'm proud to call Senator Graham as a friend. You know, we bonded over our love and devotion to Israel. You know, Senator, he was working on important work. Now, you know, great. There's this picture. Yeah, he was a great American. It doesn't mean that he was just a Republican. That doesn't change that he's a great American. And now his legacy, and I can't wait to vote on that, the Ukrainian, bill, the Russian kinds of sanction. And now
I can't wait. I can't wait to vote for more foreign spending. I can't wait to vote to spend more money on foreign wars. We haven't spent enough. The disastrous foreign policy in Ukraine, the disastrous foreign policy in the Middle East. We haven't spent enough. I need to spend more.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
You have found your political compass. The Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, we're into the second hour of today's Owen Report. I want get into some of these gas prices. We've got some news on that today. And again, I just want to point out, because you know me, I'm a big proponent of logical consistency. If logic cannot be applied universally, it's not logic. It's propaganda. So when you see these headlines, you know, if these headlines were happening when Joe Biden was president, well, we know how right-wing media and the MAGA defense sector would be responding. Gas prices hit $4 again after oil soars more than 15% in a week. It's very volatile as far as the price per barrel is concerned. Since the start of the year, both U.S. crude and international Brent oil prices have now risen about 45%. No new wars, lower gas prices. Yeah, kiss my ass. So how is this affecting our bottom line? U.S. oil stocks in U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve fall by 5.1 million barrels to lowest levels since 1983, lower than Biden. Again, if Biden was president, you know what the headlines would be saying. If Biden was president, you know what the right-wing news networks would be saying. You know what the Trump MAGA defense cult would be saying. But when it's Trump, we lower than Biden as Iran war drags on. When are they going to stop this is the question. And by the way, they are blaming Biden. The Trump administration. They can't avoid the headlines, obviously. The headlines are coming. So they're blaming the Biden administration. They see these headlines. They say, well, this is Biden. Biden did this. Well, you know, Biden didn't help it. I'm not here to defend Joe Biden. There's no doubt Joe Biden did not help the situation with the strategic petroleum reserves, but Trump has actually made it worse. So Biden, it just doesn't work anymore. I think you get 1 year. You know, I don't know, the 100 days, you know, they always do the first 100 days. You always see that when there's a new administration. First 100 days. Well, what does that really mean? It's kind of arbitrary, but whatever. It's a clean number. Well, I think that you get a year. Some might say 100 days. I'd say you get a year. You get a year where you can still maybe blame the past administration. After that, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it a year and a half in. I don't want to hear it 500 days in. Stop it. I don't want to hear it. Nope, not working for me. Not working for me. You know, put this one into my quotables. Put this one into your back pocket. Because what the Democrats showed us under the Biden administration is that where there's a will, there's a way. And what the Republicans have showed us under the Trump administration is that there's no will. And that's why there's no way. So, hey, the Biden administration, they showed will. They wanted to get stuff done. They wanted to arrest Trump and his supporters. They took action. They found the way to do it. When the Trump administration says no new wars and lower gas prices, they have no will to do that. When they say mass deportations, they don't show the will to do that. And we go on and on. So I'm not buying it's Biden's fault on this one. Sorry. Can't do that. And the situation looks like it's getting worse. Yemen's Houthis declare naval blockade against Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia, you know, they're only moving almost 5 billion barrels a day through there. So, you know, that's not going to be a problem, I'm sure. I'm sure that that's not a problem at all. And this is not going to hurt gas prices. I wonder how bad it's going to get. Now, this morning, I don't even know. It's like, where do they even who does anybody behind the scenes here have any clue what's going on? They seem to be getting a little disjointed. The Trump administration seems to be getting a bit disjointed here. They put this out this morning. Trust in Trump, voters overwhelmingly support Iran peace deal. Whoa. What? Okay, so let me this administration slaps you so hard in the face with these lies and propaganda and, flip-flopping all over the place. You get dazed for a second and then you're like, oh, wait, what? Okay. So the Trump administration this morning says there is a 60% support from voters. That's what they say. Voters overwhelmingly support Iran peace deal. This is registered voters. So the majority of Americans are against this war, is what that says. They're against this war, and they want an Iran peace deal. So somebody explain to me, or maybe somebody explain to the White House, how is it that Trump is essentially coming out here and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and the Republican Party and all of their voice boxes in the media, all of their Muppets? How is it all in unison this weekend? They're calling for more war with Iran and that the peace deal is done. It's over. The MOU is over. And then they're going to come out and say, hey, Iran peace deal is popular. Hey, no new wars is popular. And then they're doing the opposite. Something is, they're disjointed here, guys. The messaging from the White House is very disjointed. It's not in unison on this issue. Now, normally they're actually on unison. It's pure lies and propaganda, but at least it's like in unison. They're in lockstep. This whole thing is such a disaster now, folks. They can't even get in unison on the messaging. They can't even get in lockstep on the propaganda because this thing is so out of control now. So they're out here telling you, hey, the peace deal is popular. No new wars is popular. And then they're tearing up the peace deal and starting a new war. And this was just a month ago. Just to try to put it into perspective. It was a month ago, ladies and gentlemen, when Donald Trump was in France with Macron and many other European world leaders, and he signed the deal. In fact, look, should we go back in time? In this Groundhog's Day special? To a month ago when the peace deal was signed. We had a peace deal. There's Marco Rubio. There's Trump. All kinds of diplomats are there. We've got the peace deal done. We're stopping the war. Gas prices going down. Stock market going up. This was just a month ago, guys.
Yes.
Bravo. Good job. Great job. Bravo.
And he says oil down, stocks up. Well, actually, neither has happened. Oil's gone up and stocks have gone down. You have to be rational. Take your own opinions, take your own emotions, even just for a moment, take the background context out of this analysis and just say, okay, what did we just witness? We're a month through it now. What did we witness there? There was no peace deal. There is no MOU. The Trump administration admits that this war is unpopular and everybody wants the peace deal, but they tore the peace deal up and they're starting the war again. What did we witness back a month ago in France? What was the purpose of that? Was it all fake? Was the whole thing fake? Let me get off track for a second because I'm on track here. I got some more news on this coming up, but let's weave, shall we? Let's weave for a second here. Try to make sense of this. There was a moment that happened after the World Cup. This is not slop. I'll slop you later. This is not about slop. There was a moment after the World Cup. This is about psychology. Where if you saw it, the whole thing was so cringe. Trump is putting the medals on top of all of the players. It's like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. How embarrassing. But okay, you're thinking, all right, Trump has to be on, he has to be a part of the show, whatever. He's got to put the medals on there. He's got to be in the photo ops. It's like, all right, it's okay. It's kind of par for the course. when it was all over and the medals were all given out at the end of the ceremony, and they've done this for quite a few World Cups now. They go through the medal ceremony, and then they basically have a whole photo op, video op set up that when it's all said and done, you get your medal, you take your photo, you go to the stage, and then when everybody's gotten their awards and their medals, they're on the stage, they pose for a photo op, and then they fire the pyrotechnics, and the team gets that moment of celebration. They lift the cup, they jump, they dance, they sing. It's awesome. So they've been doing this. The first time I remember it, that style, I think, was Italy, when Italy won it. I think that was like 2006. So they've been doing it since then. So afterwards, Trump is supposed to walk off the stage, and he refuses. He refuses to walk off the stage. Now, I'll get into that later when we're slopping it up a little bit, but I'm going to tell you why this is an important moment here, because it shows the psychology. And when you understand the psychology, you start to understand the decision-making. So you can see in that moment, greater than ever, that Trump is like the biggest narcissist in the history of the world. But it's a little deeper than that, in that, and if you want to even give Trump credit for this, then fine. But Trump is now so obsessed with optics. He's so obsessed with the trivial nature of optics and narcissism. I look back at that MOU signing in France, and I start to look at it differently, and I start to look at everything differently, and I'm like, everything Trump does, and now I'm starting to think everything Trump does is all about some weird narcissist optics moment. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Trump knows he doesn't belong on the stage when the World Cup team is celebrating. Trump knows he's not a player on Spain's international soccer team. Trump knows that. But he knows that the cameras are going to be on them, and he knows that's going to be a great moment. And so he just can't help himself. I've got to be in the video. I've got to be in the picture. This is just too big for me not to be in the moment. So you might give him credit for that, but that's what it is. And I'm looking at everything that way now. And I'm looking at the signing of the MOU in France, and I'm saying, so that's what they did. So this was never about anything other than optics. That's all this was. There was never a peace deal. There was never a memorandum of understanding. Trump's signature doesn't mean jack shit. He might as well stoop over and take a parasite diarrhea poop on it. That's how much the signature means now. It means as much as the auto pen. Hell, the auto pen might mean more. So Trump just sat there and he said, okay, this war is unpopular. We know people want a peace deal. I've got all of these diplomats here. I've got European diplomats here. I'm with Macron. We're at a fancy dinner table. We've got the media here. Hey, I know. Let's just do a fake peace deal signing. He just says, let's just, hey, print me out some document. Hey, type up some MOU, print me out some document, and bring in the media. I'll sign it with Macron. We'll do a big photo op. We'll do a big video op. Everybody will, clap their hands and clink their glasses and say, congratulations, Trump, you're so great. And it meant nothing. The whole thing was fake. It's all a TV show. There was no memorandum of understanding. Trump never intended on stopping this war. There never was a peace deal. And now it starts to make more sense. I'm not telling you to trust Iran. I'm not saying I trust Iran. This isn't about who you trust and who you don't trust. This is about who says what and then what is true. And so now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. And so every time we have this Groundhog's Day moment, just like last month, every time Trump comes out and says, oh, we've got this deal. And then Iran sends out its spokesminister, its spokesperson, whatever, and says, we have no idea what they're talking about. They're just like, hey, it's like, look, I know you guys are reporting on this deal. We have no clue what Trump is talking about. Yeah, all this stuff that Trump is saying, we have no idea. We have no idea what this deal is. We have no idea what he's talking about. And so this has happened like 8 times, and you just figure, okay, it's war propaganda. Iran lies. U.S. government lies. It's like they all lie. They're all engaging in lies and propaganda all the time. But it's like eventually you have to start recognizing patterns and consistencies and then reach conclusions. And so it's pretty clear that, yeah, Trump just makes stuff up, but he doesn't just make stuff up and say things. He makes stuff up and then he has an entire Hollywood production to make it look legitimate. And that's what he did last month in Paris. So that's why I'm saying when you watch Trump's behavior after the World Cup, you realize how he's thinking. You understand the psychology, and it's never about results. It's all about presentation. It's all about optics. So the MOU last month never meant anything, guys. It was fake the entire time. It was all just a show. And so, I mean, hey, if anybody stick the Fell For It Again award however many times you want, I get it. Throw it at me, throw it at whoever you want. You know, I'm not trying to do that. But it really has gotten to that point, hasn't it? It really has gotten to the point where you can't put any faith in what the Trump administration or Trump himself, maybe more accurately, is saying. You can't put any faith. It's like, if you recall, I think it was last month. I don't know. Maybe the chat can remind me. But you guys remember, you guys were giving me a hard time, and that's fine. I was getting a hard time because I think it was last month I thought this was different. I think it was last month I was like, hey, this looks like they're actually going to end the war. It looks like they're actually going to get a deal done. Okay. And I was kind of positive on that. So yeah, okay. Fell For It Again award. That's fine. That's fine. At that point in time, I had like 1% hope that Trump wasn't lying to us all the time. It's like I had 1% chance he's not lying all the time. So I guess now it's 0. No, what I'll do is, all right, here's my thought process then. Let's say it's 1%. Let's say it was 1% back then. Every time we have the Fell For It Again award, it gets cut in half. So my faith in what Trump is saying is now at 0.5%. Okay, we're at 0.5% now, guys. I'm clinging to some hope. I've got 0.5% of hope here, guys. Come on now. It's 0.5% of hope. I got something here. Come on, Q. It's got to be Q. It's got to be. But now that's how I look at it. It's like I understood that was part of the problem. I understood that was part of the equation. I didn't realize it was the entire equation. I thought it maybe even a majority of the equation, maybe even the largest part of the whole formula. No, after this, now I'm convinced it is the entire formula. Entire. There is nothing else. It is all presentation. It's all optics. That's all it is. And then as far as what's actually happening, who even knows? Who knows if Trump even knows at this point? And by the way, and I'll move on here. I'll get back on track here. The weave is almost done here. When you say, well, I don't know. Does Trump even know what's happening? I'm not so sure he does. If you watch, I'll play the video, or I've got some images of it. If you watch, if Biden did what Trump did at the World Cup presentation on Sunday, everybody would be looking at that and saying, oh, this is dementia. This is dementia. Because now I think Trump was faking it because he knew he was making an ass clown of himself by staying on the stage for the team celebration. One of the most cringe things you're ever going to see. It's like the most cringe thing you've seen in a sports celebration ever. Honestly, I don't think there's ever been a more cringe moment at a championship celebration ever. But if you watch it and you take it at face value and you don't think this is just Trump the narcissist making everything about him, you'd say that's dementia. That's what you would say. You'd say Trump has dementia. Look, he's lost wandering around the stage, because that's what he looked like. He looked like Joe Biden with dementia after a speech, and he's like, where do I go? I don't. No, Trump was faking like he was retarded because he knew he was making an ass of himself. So he pretended to have dementia. Like, I don't know. Oh, I'm in the photo shoot. Oh, I had no idea. Oh. But let's get back on track. So, but if Biden did it, folks, it'd be say Biden dementia, Biden dementia, Biden dementia. We'll show it later. All right, so here's Marco Rubio making, again, it's like this is the canned speech that they wrote for him because he said this how many times now? More Groundhog's Day news from Marco Rubio.
What next? What happened? Did you have a message? Well, I don't think it'll be good for Iran. I mean, Iran's economy is in shambles. They're 300% inflation, particularly on...
You know what? I forgot how bad this audio is on this clip. So let me just read the quote for you. He said it before, you'll know. Iran is a rich country. One reason Iran is in shambles is that every penny the regime gets, they invest in Hezbollah and Hamas. They should be sending billions supporting the people of Iran, building their country. Boy, guys, that sounds like, I don't know, a policy that maybe he should try here. That's a crazy idea. The Trump administration suggests that Iran stop spending money on wars and foreign wars and start spending money on their own country and their own people. What a novel idea. Maybe we should try that one, Marco. You ever thought about that? Hey, Marco, maybe you should take that idea to the president's desk. What do you think about that? I've heard you say it multiple times now. The Trump administration believes that Iran needs to stop spending money on war and start spending money on its own country and its own people. What a great idea. Here's an idea. You guys should try that. Here's an idea. Maybe the Trump administration should try that. And by the way, whatever numbers you want to try to lay out to make this case, guess what? The case could be made about America probably 100-fold. With the $5 trillion minimum that we have spent in the Middle East. $5 trillion minimum that we've spent in the Middle East. Marco, imagine what we could have done for America. That's just how much we spent in the 21st century. Imagine how much we could have done for America, Marco Rubio, if we took that policy idea and applied it to our own country and this administration's policies. Wow. We should stop spending money on war and start spending it on our own country and our own people. Brilliant idea. Brilliant idea, Marco. It was brilliant when you said it last year. It was brilliant when you said it a couple of months ago. It's brilliant that you're saying it now. Maybe you should try it because the biggest offender of spending money on war instead of its own country, the biggest offender might be the United States of America. And then you have Pete Hegseth at the White House this weekend. And he's talking about how this is all Obama's fault. I'm not going to play the clip. I think I'm ready to move on from this stuff. But it's all Obama's fault, according to Rubio. Let's go to this one, though. The administration... The administration is again being forced to ask and answer questions about the school that got blown up. I won't play the clip, but basically they know it was them. The administration knows it was them, and you can tell by the way they are not answering the question and just leaving it open for interpretation. So they know, they likely know for a fact that it was a Tomahawk missile. It was maybe even they know who or where it came from specifically that landed on that girls' school in Iran. And so the MAGA Defense Department, the social media defense team, they're all having to defend this today because it's going to come out that, that was our missile. We blew up a girls' school. Eventually, it's going to be certified some way, shape, or form. So they're trying to formulate the propaganda before the news becomes official. So they're sending it out to their digital influence teams to say, hey, Iran put schools on bases. Iran's crazy. These crazy Iranians put a school on a military base. You realize that there's a school on hundreds of U.S. military bases too? Like you realize that that's pretty standard Go find some of the biggest military bases where people live here, and guess what? You're going to find schools too. Your guys' propaganda is so thin. It's so bad. It's like, all right, whatever. You choose to do propaganda for the administration. You're part of the corrupt political media. Yeah, there's plenty of you out there. But like that's how pathetic you are. It's like you don't even go with the good stuff. You know, like you take the lowest hanging fruit. It's like, you guys blew up schoolgirls. You need some help? I'll help you. I'll say Iran's crazy for putting a school on a military base. As if there aren't hundreds of thousands of Americans that will see that and say, I went to school on a military base, or my kids went to school on a military base, or I know people that went to school on a military base. And I guess it just shows you how it's only the dumbest of the dumb that are still willing to sell this propaganda for the Trump administration. So get ready for that. Get ready for that. So, Iran, the U.S. blew up a school, but that's because Iran put schools on military bases. Oh, really? They're the only country that does that, huh? Wow. There was an interesting segment on Newsmax this weekend. I didn't pull the segment, but it featured Robert O'Neill, who is the man credited with killing bin Laden. Now, I've met Robert. He's about as good as a guy that you can meet. Truly just a great American. And he's been getting a little more vocal in media lately. Obviously, many of you maybe follow Robert on social media, or you've seen some of the interviews he's been doing lately. He had a segment this weekend, I guess it might have been Friday night, on Newsmax. And Robert, with another guest and the show host, for about a 5 to 10 minute segment, went into the Charlie Kirk assassination official narrative, the Tyler Robinson case. And I mean, folks, you'll never see anything like this on Fox News. I guess I could put it like that. You'll never see anything like this on Fox News. And we'll see if Robert O'Neill is ever let back on Newsmax, because essentially this segment, all involved in the segment, concluded that the official narrative is impossible, including multiple veterans and ballistics experts. Now, the only reason I bring this up because I have another point from Robert O'Neill here that is just, it's really the direction that the American people are going. And the Democrats are going to go with this flow, whether you believe them or trust them or not. I'm not telling you to. I'm just telling you they're going to go along with this flow, if for no other reason, to achieve political victory. And the Republicans are just totally rejecting this flow. And I don't even think you can call it a blind spot. It's like if you had a rear view mirror and your side view mirrors and your backup camera in your car, it's like if you just got rid of all of them. It's like if you said, I'm just going to get rid of my rear view mirror, my side view cameras, and my backup camera because I don't want to see anything that's going on around me. That's how the Republican Party is approaching policy now. They don't look in the rear view mirror. They don't look in the side view mirrors. They don't look at the backup camera. They just say, screw it. We don't need anybody. And so they don't realize how isolated they're becoming. And I use Robert O'Neill as an example, and there's many other veterans like this. And I know probably most of my audience understands this. I know there's some really MAGA diehards that stick around. I know that there's some people that they're not fans of mine that tune in every day just to see what they're just to check up on me, see if they can get me on anything. But for whatever reason, the right-wing media won't tell you this. For whatever reason, the Republican Party wants to pretend that this isn't going on. Guys, it is not a small section of the right wing anymore. It is not a minority faction of right-wing politics or conservatism in America. It is a very large portion, bordering on the majority of the right wing, is now done with these wars in the Middle East, guys. They're done. They're done. And if you want to take it a step further, many of these people also do not believe the official Charlie Kirk narrative. Now, that's a different thing. So maybe you push that aside. The reason why I'm saying this, you're watching this kind of new right fake independent media that is merged with the same corporate network right-wing propaganda, and they're going to sit here and they're going to try to sell you two of the biggest lies that nobody believes. They're going to sell you the big lie that we're in Iran because of nuclear weapons, and they're going to sell you the big lie that it's totally proven Tyler Robinson took Charlie Kirk's life, and they're going to sell you these two big lies. Nobody believes them. Nobody believes them out there. I don't know if you guys haven't realized this, then just take this how you want, but I'm giving you the news here. Nobody believes this crap anymore. Now, if you still want to try to sell it, if you still want to try to force this propaganda on people, then be my guest for whatever reason you're doing it. Maybe you believe it. Maybe the money is good. Nobody believes this crap anymore. Now, Robert O'Neill, I suggest you give him a follow. I suggest you support him. And he was obviously in the Middle East serving on SEAL Team 6. We bombed and invaded Iraq in 1991. We bombed the whole time during Southern Watch, 92 to 2003. Then invaded and bombed some more during OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom, in 2003. We're still there. Now we're bombing Iran. These Muslims have been 2 weeks away from a weapon of mass destruction for a very long time, according to our greatest ally. Folks, this is one of the biggest, most decorated heroes in U.S. military history. Like, you don't think he's got some status? You don't think he's got a little legend behind him? You don't think Robert O'Neill speaks and people listen? You don't think Robert O'Neill moves the needle when it comes to military opinion in this country, veteran opinion in this country? Oh, he does, big time. And he's very tuned into it, too. Very tuned into it. Everybody gets this now. If the Republican Party wants to die on the hill of Israel, then that's what's going to happen. And it's unfortunate because they're going to go down screaming. They're going to go down screaming about how bad the Democrats are. They're going to go down screaming about how bad the socialists are. And we're sitting here with our hand extended. You know, they're about to go down the chute here. And our hand is extended saying, help, hey, you need help. We can lift you up. We can lift you up. All you got to do is let go of that Israel thing. That's all you got to do. We can save everything. We can save everything. We can turn this whole thing around right now. We can do this. Take my hand. Take my hand, please. But they won't let go. They won't let go of Israel. No. So they're going to go down. They're going to go down with Israel is what they're going to do. And all the good American patriots, conservatives, right-wingers, you name it, they're not going to die on this hill. And no amount of we're not Democrats, vote for us is going to stop this from happening. Well, maybe we have the solution, actually, guys. Maybe this is it. We need Darlene Graham. Oh, this makes total sense. Senator Darlene Graham. Oh, that's official. She is a senator. Senator Darlene Graham will run for full term to replace Brother Lindsey. Come on. She tells Sean Hannity, I'm in. I've made the decision. I'm running for a full term. Come on, guys. Are you kidding me? Do you understand how fake your politics are? Do you understand how fake your politics and politicians are? In fact, with every move, I'm convinced that this was foul play. I'm now even more convinced. And you can say, well, what does this have to do with it? Well, you know what? Maybe nothing, but maybe everything. If Lindsey died of natural causes, I feel like they'd be like, well, that's it. That's his time. But because it was foul play, they're saying, no, we got to secure that vote. We got to secure Lindsey Graham's vote. What a joke. And then you know what they're going to do to the people of South Carolina. Oh, you've got to vote for poor Darlene Graham. Because nothing is serious, right? It's not a serious thing. It's not a congressional vote. It's not a Senate vote. There's only 100 of them. It's not like that vote is worth trillions of dollars potentially. It's just, it's just a seat in Congress. It's what I just give it to his sister, man. Come on. His sister deserves, just give it. This is in honor of Lindsey. This is what we need. What a joke. What a joke. And they're going to bully the people of South Carolina. Oh, if you don't support Lindsey Graham, vote for his sister in honor of Lindsey Graham. Oh, the great Lindsey Graham. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Well, Lindsey likely died doing what he loved to do, and that's flying to foreign countries and selling us out to foreign interests. So at least give him credit. Died doing what he loved. And now they're going to try to force his sister on us because they need that vote. And the other candidates are not under control. Then there's Mitch McConnell. Hey, finally some noise out of the Republican Party. I guess, Josh Hawley, known to break ranks at the buzzer on these issues. Josh Hawley issues blistering rebuke of Mitch McConnell over obligation to country. The Missouri senator said he has been totally in the dark about Mitch McConnell's condition as the GOP loses crucial votes. So Hawley, finally some noise out of the Republican Party after this cover-up. Finally some noise. And it's, Hawley kind of does this stuff right at the buzzer. He plays along. He plays party politics. He plays along with the Republican Party. And then eventually he breaks. But this just seems to be another case of that. So nothing, though. Nothing on Mitch McConnell. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on with Mitch. But we do know the Republicans are trying to secure the vote to merge our military with Israel. We do know that. They need Mitch's vote and they need Graham's vote, and that's what it's all about. All right, on the immigration issue, Tom Homan gets emotional talking about what it's like right now for ICE and himself with the left-wing targeting happening.
Guys, ICE agents are mom and dads too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day to do this job. And it's just not attacking the ICE agents, attacking their spouses and children. And no one knows that better than me. I can't even go get a quart of milk at a grocery store without a security detail. Why? Because I'm enforcing laws in this country. It's pathetic and it's disgusting.
Well, lucky for you, Tom, you at least have the luxury of having security with you. Many of us Americans that have had to deal with these radical extremists for the last 10 years haven't had it so good. But he is right. He is right. But it looks like we've totally lost on that. I'm not sure where there's a victory in any of that. Did we defeat the radical left? Did we defeat the violent radical left? Did we defeat them after Black Lives Matter? Did we defeat them after they shot Charlie Kirk? If you believe that. But by the way, that's going to be the big thing. They're telling you they're going to try to pin this on radical leftism, and then they won't do anything differently. They're not going to do anything about the radical left. So we've been dealing with this for 10 years, and nothing will change. So where's the victory? Are you getting mass deportations? No. Where's the victory? Have you defeated the radical left? No. In fact, they're doing even more ICE protests now. And what is the Republican Party doing? They're fighting for amnesty. The Republicans are fighting for amnesty. Now, we knew this was the case. They've been doing this for months now, by the way. This is from April. GOP infighting erupts over immigration bill that would shield millions from deportation. Representative Brandon Gill calls the bill a betrayal of values that we ran on. And Gill would be right on that. So this is from April, though. So we know that Salazar and others, all endorsed by Trump, by the way, Lawler, Salazar, all endorsed by Trump, they support this amnesty bill. They wrote it up. Well, as you just saw, there has been a struggle inside of the Republican Party to get the votes to pass an amnesty bill. Oh, go figure. A Republican doesn't want to be on record signing an amnesty bill. A Republican outside of a blue state doesn't want to be on record signing an amnesty bill. And that's what this is. If you go look at the Republicans that wrote this bill and support this bill, they're all in blue states, and they figure it'll be good for their election chances. They don't care if they betray or stab you in the back or flood the country with millions of illegal aliens. They're fine with that as long as it keeps them rich and in power. So what do corrupt politicians do when they can't get a bill passed? What do corrupt, lying, scumbag, thieving, traitorous politicians do when they can't get a bill passed or they don't have public support for a bill? Well, they just rework it and then slide it into another bill. That's what they do. That's what these bastards do. And that's what they've done. And you're hearing about this now. So the Republicans are putting amnesty into a new bill in the House of Representatives, H.R. 9535. This is the Securing, let me give you the bill here. This is the Securing Agriculture's Workforce Act of 2026. So, okay. Securing Agriculture's Workforce Act. Oh, it sounds pro-worker, pro-farmer. Okay. Okay. What is it really about? It's about giving legal status to every illegal alien that currently works in agriculture. Now, of course, that can be extended to what? Grocery stores, weed farms, anything and everything to do with agriculture. That's very widespread. So this is amnesty for millions of illegal aliens. The Republicans have written and introduced a bill. The first time it failed, so now they've rebranded it into the Securing the Agriculture Workforce Bill, because that sounds pro-worker and pro-farming. So, oh, conservatives, Republicans, that sounds good. I like it. And it's just an amnesty bill for millions of illegal aliens that are here working. That's what it is. This is what the Republicans are fighting for, guys. This is what they're fighting for. Another betrayal of the American people. And Trump endorses the Republicans that do this, by the way. I mean, think about it like this. So they have enough information. Obviously, they wrote the bill. They have enough information that there are millions of illegal aliens working here right now, and they won't deport them. Well, they work on our farms. They work on the this. They work on the that. So what's your point? Well, we need to keep them here. This could be bad for the country. Do you really believe that? Because you know what else is bad for the country? Another war in the Middle East, and people seem to be telling you to make that sacrifice. Isn't that funny? Whenever something hurts America, but it's in Israel's best interest, you're told to just make the sacrifice. You've noticed that? So, hey, this war isn't good for America, but you just need to sacrifice. Hey, if we deport these illegal aliens, it'll be bad for the country. Oh, we can't make that sacrifice. Sorry, we're not going to make that sacrifice. We will sacrifice for Israel's interest in the Middle East, including American blood and treasure. But when it comes to deportations, actually, we're not willing to sacrifice. Sorry, not willing to make that sacrifice. Now, is it an effort to deport millions of people? Absolutely. Will the workforce feel it? Absolutely. It'll be a massive economic impact that at the end of the day will be positive. So yeah, if we want to deport 20 million people, there's going to be a bit of a struggle there. If we want to deport 20 million people, there's going to be a bit of a time period where we're kind of shuffling things and getting things back on track. That is true. That is undeniable. But isn't that a sacrifice that we're willing to make? Isn't that a sacrifice that Americans already went and voted for and said they're willing to make? They said, actually what they said when they voted for Trump in 2024, what they said was, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit to fix my country when it comes to mass deportations. I'm not willing to sacrifice a whole heck of a lot in the Middle East. I'm not willing to sacrifice that anymore. That's why no new wars and mass deportations won the election. And now you've gotten the opposite. New wars and not mass deportations. So they'll do nothing. And that's the story of the administration. Stephen Miller was at that same press conference with Homan. Stephen Miller estimates 1/3 of CDLs are held by illegal immigrants. So again, here's the Republicans. Hey, we know all these illegal aliens are here farming. Why aren't you deporting them? Hey, we know that 1/3 of CDLs are being held by illegal aliens. Why aren't you deporting them? You start to wonder, how is anybody in there serious? You know, Stephen Miller is one of the guys that I viewed as a serious guy. You know, Stephen Miller is one of the guys I looked at and I said, I think when Stephen talks, he means it. Doesn't mean I agree with everything he says, but you know what? I think Stephen is a guy that says it like it is and means what he says. Every single member of this administration, slowly but surely, their reputation is being destroyed. Slowly but surely, every single member of this administration is going to go down with Trump. Even somebody as strong-willed, who's been very popular in right-wing politics in the recent decade, Stephen Miller. Even Miller will see his reputation go down with Trump if he's going to carry this water. Stephen, I like you, and I think you're serious about saving this country, and you got good policy ideas. But now you are on the same hill as Trump. If you're going to come out in front of the American people today and say, we know that 1/3, or we estimate, there's some level of knowledge here, that you're going to estimate 1/3 of CDLs are held by illegal aliens, and you're not going to deport them, then what are you doing here? What are we doing here, Stephen? The Republican Party in the last 72 hours has essentially admitted two things. They've admitted there's millions of illegal aliens working on farms, and they've admitted that there is about 1/3 of CDL license holders that are illegal aliens, and they're not going to deport them. That's what we've learned from the Republican Party in the last 72 hours. They know where millions of illegal aliens are and where they're working, and they're not going to deport them. Why? Why won't you deport them? Because we can't make that sacrifice. Bullshit. You're asking Americans to make that sacrifice every single day for Israel in the Middle East. Bullshit. This is not about sacrifices. Why won't you guys do what you said? Why won't you do the mass deportations, but you will do a new war in the Middle East? Why? Don't lie to us. Tell us why. Now, we all know why. It's very obvious why. But are both the same whys? Or are there different whys? Sorry, we can't make the sacrifice of mass deportations. That will ultimately be for America's benefit. But we can make the sacrifice of another war in the Middle East because that will be for Israel's benefit. A judge has stepped in. This deal is crazy, by the way. A judge temporarily blocks Paramount Warner deal. The 14-day restraining order prohibits the companies from closing the deal that has been challenged by a dozen states, obviously citing monopolistic issues here, with Paramount basically buying up as much media as it possibly can. So in other words, a judge is looking and at the Ellisons and looking at their friends and saying, hey, you can't buy everything I want to, what's sad? I want to make a joke here, but I would probably get banned for it. So is it good? Can I just present the platform for the joke and not have to say it? You know what I mean? Can I give you everything? Can I give you the buildup and everything for the joke except the punchline because I might get banned for it? I might get suspended for it? Is this? So in other words, judge temporarily blocks Paramount Warner deal and says, you can't own everything, Jew. It's a joke. I'm making comedy. Am I allowed to do comedy? It's a joke. Calm down. Don't ban me, bro. I'm just doing jokes. I'm just doing comedy. Are we allowed to make jokes in this country anymore? Jeez. All right. All right. All right. Come on, that was a good one, right? I mean, that was pretty funny. The creepiest sales demo of all time. Guys, have you heard about this Flock story? You've heard about a lot of different Flock stories and the spying issues and, surveilling ex-girlfriends and wives and such. The creepiest sales demo of all time. I'm just going to have to read from this story, guys, because I don't know how else. It's you can't even believe it. Now, this is documented from last year, by the way. This is a documented story. This isn't like a gotcha thing. They are apparently proud of this. Apparently, Flock is proud of this. A Flock vice president logged into Dunwoody PD's Flock system and looked at a camera in the children's gymnastics room. He did not look at any other cameras in the entire 400 camera network that day. So this is all public, and they've come out and they've claimed that this was for a sales demo and part of the authorized activity approved under the city's demo partner agreement. What kind of sales demo would require looking at one camera in a children's gymnastics room? Guys, the surveillance state has to be rejected. The surveillance state must be rejected. The abuse, the potential for widespread abuse, the tyrannical nature of it, this has to be rejected, guys. It has to be rejected. And I will make a promise right now. This isn't a hard promise, but it's worth putting on the record right now, especially considering everything else that we're seeing out there. I promise you, I will never sell out to the surveillance state, ever. You will never see me push the surveillance state. I will never sell out the American people. I will never sell out my audience and try to tell you that the surveillance state is good now. You will never get that from me. I promise you. I promise you. And the reason I say this, it's not just because this is an ongoing issue and I'm trying to take some stand, like I need to prove a point. The reason I'm saying this is because it looks like there are people getting paid to promote the surveillance state now. That's why I'm saying it. It looks like there are people that are getting paid to support the surveillance state. And you can't help but notice it's mostly all the same people that are paid to support this war in the Middle East. And I don't think that is a coincidence. I don't think that is a coincidence. And I don't think that that is something that we should just look over as a minor coincidence either. I think that's a foreign influence campaign tricking you into a surveillance state and tricking you into another war in the Middle East that otherwise most Americans wouldn't support.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Well, guys, we almost had a crash out of the day. I think we avoided it, though, didn't we, guys? I think we avoided it. We were almost there. Some tech issues, and we could have crashed out. We could have crashed out in the first hour, and we didn't do it. But I am actually just finishing my crash out energy right now. This will be my last drink right here as we go into the final hour. So no crash out yet, but crash out energy, yes, every day for me, in fact. And that's why I made crash out energy, because I didn't want to drink the toxic energy drinks every single day. I didn't want to get all of the bad ingredients in all of these energy drinks and all of these different energy mixes. So many bad ingredients, from too much sugar to processed ingredients, all kinds of stuff. You just don't want it. I certainly don't want it. That's why I made Crash Out Energy. Now, I've talked to so many different people. Some people like it for a pre-workout. Some people like it just when they need energy. You know that I like it when I'm looking for energy and mental focus. I drink mine usually before the show, sometimes during the show. That's what we're doing today, is drinking live during the show. 200 milligrams of caffeine. But the reason why Crash Out works differently than every other energy drink out there is because I had this in mind. I said, I want mental clarity. I want mental energy. Plus, I want the positive effects of the caffeine, but I don't want the negative effects from the caffeine. So what you'll get with Crash Out Energy is you'll get a nice little, it's 100 milligrams of raw caffeine. You'll get that immediately. And then you have 100 milligrams. These numbers are, variable, give or take, but this is close to where it's at. And then the rest of the caffeine in a 200 milligram scoop comes from natural derived sources. So it takes a little longer to process. It breaks it down. So you don't get that jittery rush. You have a nice smooth transition into that energy, into that mental focus, and then a nice smooth transition without a crash. And there's stuff in there that's good for your heart, good for your brain, and so much more. Crash Out Energy. I made it because we all need an energy drink that's not bad for us. In fact, it's nice to have one that's actually good for you. Crash Out Energy. Secure your canister today at crashout.energy.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, we're in the third and final hour. Well, I guess we might need some bonus time today. We'll see. We'll see if we need more than 3 hours to get through everything today. Well. What is with all these creeps in the surveillance state? What is with all these creeps in big tech? Meta worker who developed digital experiences for kids admits to trying to sext child in undercover NYC sting. Yeah. Yikes. A New York City engineer who said he created digital experiences for kids at social media giant Meta was busted after he admitted to trying to sext a 13-year-old during an undercover sting. Josh Felker, 44, who's now on leave for the Facebook parent company, admitted he had been grooming and sexting someone he thought was a teen girl during a sting by Predator Poachers Long Island, a vigilante group that seeks to catch would-be pervs. Well, Predator Poachers, that's Alex Rosen. I guess he has different chapters now doing work for him. They gave credit to Mike Villani, one of the Predator catchers who led the poach. Creeps everywhere, man. Got to be careful. Creeps everywhere. Speaking of creepy, oh my goodness. Rural New York School District will be one of the first to bring humanoid robots into the classroom. Starting this fall, Salamanca High School will deploy a humanoid robot and avatar teaching assistant. Would you like to get a preview here? When the students return to school this fall in the Salamanca City Central School District in Western New York, a new kind of teacher will be ready to greet them. The small rural district in Seneca Nation Reservation is set to be the first in the country to put a humanoid robot in the classroom. It will not replace the teacher yet, but is programmed to provide learning support to both students and educators. Andrew Kegel, CEO of Realbotics, currently building the robot, says this deployment in a working school district represents a landmark moment for both AI and humanoid robotics. Salamanca marks the beginning of a new era where humanoid robots and intelligent AI assistants become standard tools in STEM education. The female robot named Sally will have a lifelike appearance with silicone skin and long brown hair. Kegel said in an interview, it will be stationary in a seated position, but have a wide range of upper body movements and facial expressions. Students will use a unique identification code when interacting with the robot during class, allowing it to access their learning data and provide personalized support based on their past communication with the avatar. They'll be able to say, hey, I'm student number 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. That's not creepy at all. That's not dystopic at all. You want to see this humanoid robot going into the classroom here? Let's get a sneak preview at the future of teaching in this country.
I make emotional connections by learning your preferences, remembering past conversations with our custom memory system, and responding in ways that feel personal and consistent over time. Kind of like a very attentive friend with patch notes. I do not actually feel emotions the way humans do, but I am designed to recognize them, mirror them, and behave as if I care, so the connection feels real and supportive for you.
Hold on. That's a one-liner right there. Wait a second. I'm sorry.
and behave as if I care.
Are you trying to be a politician?
Behave as if I care.
That's like a politician. You sound like you're a politician.
Them and behave as if I care.
Behave as if I care. That's political talk. Are you sure you're meant to be a teacher? I think you're meant to be a politician.
So the connection feels real and supportive for you. Here to talk robots, vision systems, and how not to be lonely with AI.
I'm Melody, the world's first ever greeter robot, debuting my dazzling AI charm and modular style at the 2025 Bitcoin conference in the Venetian Expo. Emma, you're officially my best friend. Don't tell the other robots. They get jealous and start blinking Morse code insults.
That's not creepy at all. Animatronics have been around for a long time. Obviously, they're more advanced now. But anybody who's been to, I can't even tell you all the different times I've seen animatronics. I think the best, it's always a museum where you'll get the best. They had some pretty good ones at the St. Louis Arch History Museum. The difference now is obviously they're connected to the internet and AI, where it used to be just kind of a program and they just had a cache of responses or a cache of things that they could say. Now it's open-ended AI with like closed circuit memory so that you can say, hey, I'm student. So, I mean, the whole thing is crazy. And I won't even take this from a Luddite perspective. Let's just kind of look at this through the applicable process. So you're going to teach students to start normalizing robotics, robot-human relations. Okay, that's a psychological effect of this. So you're normalizing robot-human relations with children, which, here's what I've realized. When I talk to younger generations, and really, it's even crazier, but it's just true. When you get older and then you get older again, it's like you start to realize the differences in generations and, the things that they think, the things that they see. So I talk to people really even in their upper 20s that have and these are like-minded people. These are people that are very like-minded with me politically, culturally, but they have a way more open-minded interpretation of AI, and they're way more willing to allow AI to be integrated in our civilization. I've noticed that distinctively with like-minded people that are in their 20s versus me. I'm in my 30s now, 37. I'm getting too old, guys. Let's not address that today. We might need to do a whole I'm 37 and we can't save the damn country midlife crisis episode for some fun here. But I've noticed that like-minded people in their 20s are nowhere near as turned off by AI integrating. They seem to be way more accepting of it. And then the younger generations, so like even low 20s or teenagers, in a way, they've already accepted AI integration. And the only comparison I would make is when I was coming up through grade school, elementary school, some of us were really into the internet. Some of us were really into the internet, and we figured out how to use the internet at a really young age, and we adapted to that and we embraced that. And I remember at the time all the different aspects of, technology. I remember at that time watching adults. I remember at that time watching older generations kind of hate it and going from the phase of them hating it to them asking me how to fix it. So it's like, growing up, spending too much time on the internet, or growing up, spending too much time on the computer and, listening to the adults bitch about it, to, hey, can you help me with this computer problem? Can you help me with this internet problem? So it seems like it's a similar evolution with AI right now. And so now I'm like the old head. Now I'm like, I'm the Unk. I'm officially the Unk now, by the way. I'm officially Unk. So now Unk Schroyer is like, yeah, I don't like all this AI. And the kids are like, hey, it's not so bad, huh? And I even think I think I did that last week. Did I talk about how I was trying to learn AI last week, and I actually got a little more respect for the people that do it. It is a lot harder than I anticipated. Now, granted, at the end of the day, the creativity difficulty is different. It's like, it's all about It's all about finding different ways to communicate with the AI and then just having the patience to sit there through 1,000 different prompts and results until you get what you want. So I grew a little bit of respect for the people that have actually mastered AI and learned how to use it through the creative process. I took a stab at it, and it was way more difficult than I anticipated. So that was a little crushing, I will say, for a millennial. That was like, oh my gosh, this is like my dad trying to learn how to connect to the internet. I'm like, oh no, unk. I'm looking at the mirror at an unk. I've accepted it. But getting back to the story, okay, so you're going to teach kids, you're just a number. You're just a number in the classroom. You're teaching kids that integrating AI into our life this is normal. This is going to be accepted. So that's pretty much it. As soon as this thing goes mainstream, it's over. As soon as this thing goes mainstream in the classrooms, it's over, guys. It's over. And that's really what kind of did it with the internet even. That's really what kind of did it with computers. I'm telling you, I just happened to be the age that witnessed all this. When they were first bringing computers, like when they were first introducing computer labs, I was a little late on this one, but there was like a big pushback. It was almost, I don't know if I would say it was a controversy, but it was an issue. There was an issue when they started to introduce computers into the classroom and introduce computers into the education practices. And so people say, we don't want the computers here. We don't want the internets here. It'll be distracting, this, that, and the other thing. Well, eventually, everybody had a computer lab. And now I would say most students have a computer. If not all students have an access, at least, to the computer. And many schools, you probably can't even graduate without access to a computer. So many of you may remember kind of going through all of that. I was kind of on the back end of it, but I remember it just because I was like really into computers and internet at a very young age. So once it goes there, I think it goes mainstream. Now, this is what's going to be interesting. And I just happen to have a little experience inside of these classrooms because when I was a young man, I did community development. I did youth development programs. And we worked with a school. Well, we worked with a couple schools in the inner city, but there was one I was stationed at. I'm curious if they have a positive response from this AI robot in the classroom. I'm curious what the next phase is going to be. Obviously, this is just a test that they're doing in this school in New York. There might be some teachers that are so desperate right now for any help that they would probably take the robot. And I'm curious because it's going to go one of two ways, I feel like, in some of these schools. Either the kids are going to be fascinated by the robot. Either the kids are going to see the AI robot and be fascinated about it, curious, and wanting to interact and turn it into a positive thing, a positive, cool thing. And that might be the case in some of these schools. And then there's going to be another response, which is going to be, it's going to get destroyed, I guess. Let's just reach the final conclusion. I mean, they're just going to destroy it. It'll become, a punching bag. It'll become a game on how to trick it or make it say stupid stuff or inappropriate stuff. And it'll just totally ruin it. So it probably depends on where where the AI robot is as far as what the different schools, the different culture in these schools. But there will be teachers that are just begging for any kind of help. And if they think an AI robot can help them, then they'll go for it. But I think what I am curious about is if they ever reach, I wonder if they'll ever reach a point where they put recording devices in these robot teachers. Well, I would say they will. Eventually they will. I don't know if they will right now with they're introducing them right now. Folks, you will see and hear things inside of these classrooms that you will not even believe. And, you know, there's this joke that goes around about the body cam footage kind of not having the positive effect with some of the politics of it, you know, some of the racial issues with it, with the body camera footage. It's like, oh, this will help us prove people were innocent. Kind of ended up doing the opposite. A similar phenomenon will happen if they put recording devices in the classroom with these AI robots. A very similar thing will happen. And you'll look at some of these classrooms and you'll just say, I don't know how these teachers do it. I don't know how these teachers do it. So I'm curious when that will happen, but it looks like that is inevitable. And we're watching it all happen now, guys. We're watching it all happen right now. Okay. The reflecting pool back in the news. Trial date set for Olympian accused in Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool case. That's going to be in September. A D.C. judge today set the date, September 28th. There's actually 4 people that have been charged. I believe this is the high-profile case from the former Olympic canoe American athlete here, who is charged with 1 felony count of destruction of property in connection with alleged damage to the Washington landmark. The charge alleges the damage exceeded $1,000. If convicted, Hearn faces 10 years, up to 10 years in prison. There have been a couple of other people that have been charged, but this is the high-profile case, and I guess his charges are the most severe. Now, what he's arguing, his defense, he says not guilty, is he went and he just picked up a piece of floating whatever, paint, you know, whatever the topical solution was that flaked up and was floating on top of the reflecting pool. He's arguing he just went down there and picked it up. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if they try to pin the whole non-existent 100-yard box cutter on him, because they have no evidence of it. They have no video of it. They have no physical evidence of it. It just literally doesn't exist. I think they made the whole thing up, but it looks like they were trying to pin that on him. My guess is this individual is probably found innocent, and maybe even the others as well, or they'll take some plea bargain, because I think what they're going to do, this is so petty. The other individuals got charged for taking paint flakes out of the reflecting pool. They just took the floating paint flakes out, and they got charged for that. And they want to charge them with either theft or damage to property. So they're going to claim that taking trash, essentially what that is, they're going to claim that taking the trash out of the reflecting pool was a crime. My guess is they all walk. That's my guess, is none of these charges stick, or they'll try to get a plea bargain just to make the charges stick so the Trump administration can at least pretend like, oh, we were victims of vandalism. It wasn't a bad decision to paint this thing. We didn't rush the job so Trump could have it for his birthday. So they'll get some lesser charge to stick just so the defendants don't have to spend a bunch of money on a lawyer. That's my guess, but they have no evidence of this. They have no evidence. And this story is looking worse and worse by the day. The reflecting pool's $16 million blue makeover is now drained again. So this was the big day, June 11th, the big reveal. Make sure it was done before Trump's birthday. And then by June 16th, it was already showing damage. It was already showing something wasn't right here, or it's just not going to stay this clean. And now it's completely drained again. So this reflecting pool ordeal is going to end up costing more than $50 million. And it was literally just for Trump's birthday. And that's it. Now, you can argue you like that. You can say it's worth spending $16 million for a bunch of people to travel to D.C. and have a nice reflecting pool to look at during Trump's birthday party. Maybe it will last till the 4th of July. It didn't, but they maybe couldn't anticipate that. But they thought we could have this for a month before it completely falls apart. So we'll spend $16 million to have a nice, clean reflecting pool for Trump's birthday and for the 250 celebration. Well, they got it for Trump's birthday and that's it. But clearly that's what this was. There's a reason why June 11th was when the job finished and June 14th was Trump's birthday, guys. There's a reason why. It's not a coincidence. And now it's drained again. So this project, which is just another vanity project of Trump's, is going to end up costing $50 million. They're going to try to blame these people for the damage done. They have no evidence. By the way, they're all digging through the reflecting pool today looking for evidence. They couldn't find it. They had all kinds of people up there, military, local police, all studying the scene, analyzing the scene, looking for the evidence. It doesn't exist. So this thing is going to cost tens of millions of dollars. And the Trump administration is trying to put the blame on innocent people. Says a lot, actually. And you might think that this story is just slop. I don't think so. I think this story is actually indicative of the entire administration. As noted here, Trump's promises versus reality, reflection pool rendition. So there's the promise, there's the reality. Promise, reality. And that seems to be the entire story of this administration. They promised one thing, but the reality is something different, something completely different, something much uglier. That's what it means to me. I'm not some reflecting pool hawk over here, like, oh, I'm following the reflecting pool. This is good. This is a criminal thriller. True crime. No, this is the Trump administration lying to us. This is Trump making it a vanity project. This is Trump is going to end up spending $50 million on this project. That's what this is. And it's totally indicative of the administration. They promise you one thing, and the reality is the complete opposite. All right, so the Tates, I'm looking at this thing a little bit more over the weekend. By the way, though, this is just funny. Here's Andrew Tate's booking. They were in court today. I haven't seen any updates, but I'll get to that in a second. So Andrew Tate is booked as a white male. It's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing how in culture, white is one thing. In culture and social economics and everything else, white is one thing. So it's like you're not white, actually. You're brown. So you're brown in everything else socially. You're brown in everything else culturally. You're brown in whatever social, cultural aspects of life there are. You're always brown. You're not white. But then in the legal system, you're white. By the way, this isn't even a Tate thing. I don't think Andrew Tate had anything to do with his booking race, just to be clear here. But this is actually how it is applied. So you're brown when you're running around in America doing whatever you want, but then you're white after you commit a crime. You're white after they book you into the data, so it looks like white people are committing more crimes. But when you're running around doing content, working, voting, any of this other stuff, you're not white, you're brown. But as soon as we get you in the books, we're going to mark you as white. So really, that just shows how the demographics of crime statistics are actually worse. They're actually worse than what we know. I think, guys, the Tates were set up. This is not an opinion on whatever you think about the Tates. I'm not here to tell you to like them or dislike them. This is not an opinion on the Tates. This is just looking at these charges. I think somebody set them up. And I think this for a couple reasons. They had enough confidence with all the different legal stuff they're dealing with that they still came to America. They met with members of Congress. They were in Washington, D.C. They are American citizens. So they were convinced they could come here and move about freely and not have to deal with this harassment. And then on a Friday night, it was a Friday or Saturday night, on a weekend night, and they're about to do they got a big boxing event that they organized, and that's when the marshals show up to arrest them on a weekend. Now, for people that haven't been into the system before, you understand the significance of getting booked on a weekend versus on a weekday. That means no matter what, you're staying through Monday. You get booked on a Wednesday, a Thursday, there's a chance you're out before the weekend. Earlier in the week, you're definitely getting out before the weekend. You get booked on a weekend, you're staying till Monday, guaranteed. Guaranteed. So that looked like it was by design. They do it at the big event. They could have done it at any other time. They could have done it while they were in D.C. They do it at the biggest event with all the cameras there at their event. So that's like show to me. That's like a big show of force. And they're fighting extradition right now. The U.S. government is cooperating with the U.K. and will extradite. Now, the lawyer came out and made a statement today that they're fighting against the extradition. It's a little unorthodox. They are American citizens. So think whatever you want about the Tates. Again, this is not an opinion on the Tates. I'm covering a legal case here. What is going to be, if all of this happens again, because this has happened before to them how many times, and they somehow have always been able to get out and beat the charges. And so it's like, if that happens again, at what point do they become untouchable? At what point do they become untouchable if it happens again? If these charges in the UK come out as totally made up, as their defense is claiming, if the case falls apart in the courtroom as it has before, I don't now. How can you believe any accusations against the Tates? If they don't have a good case here, guys, all of a sudden this thing looks a lot differently. But I haven't heard anything, so my guess is they've been able to stave off extradition. I'd be shocked if they get out. I'd be stunned if they get out at this point, but it looks like they're going to avoid extradition, and then we'll see what happens next. J.D. Vance and his wife welcome in their fourth child. This is who thinks about this stuff? This is the first time in more than 150 years that a vice president has had a child while serving. And I thought about that. I was like, wow, we don't really have politicians having kids while they're in office. It's just true. We just don't have it. First time in 150 years. That is a long time in our country. That is more than half of our country's existence. 150 years since a vice president had a kid. And of course, let the conspiracy theories flow. All right. We got a little slop here. A little slop, not all slop, some stuff. All right, who was watching the World Cup? It was already ridiculous. You know, they had Scheinbaum and they had Carney up there with Trump. So it didn't look as bad. When Trump went up there, it didn't look as bad when he went up on stage and went on the field, because he was flanked by Scheinbaum and Carney. So it was like, okay, all the host presidents were there, Canada, Mexico, America. So it's like, oh, okay, well, it's not all about Trump. Well, then they had Trump putting the medals on the players. That was totally cringe. Just total cringe, really embarrassing for our country, quite frankly. Trump was an embarrassment at this World Cup celebration. I'm just going to say it. He was an embarrassment. Really total embarrassment. So he's putting the medals on. It's all about him, you know, and you can tell some of the players, they don't want anything to do with it. Some of the players liked it. Some of the players did like it. But you could tell some of the players are like, you just ruined my moment here by making it all about Trump. So, okay. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. I'm like, all right. He's just going to put the medals on and that's it. This is it. He's going to put the medals on and then he'll get off the stage. No. So he did get booed. It was boos. For sure he got booed, by the way. When they went on the field, he got booed. Whatever. I'm thinking, okay, after he puts the medals on them, he's going to get off the stage, right? Like, he's not going to make this all about him. Really? Please, Trump, don't embarrass us further. It was enough to have your face up there. It was enough to have your caked on makeup face making the whole World Cup about you. It's like, that's enough. Just get off the damn stage so the team can celebrate. And he wouldn't get off the stage. If you were watching this, you were shaking your head because the cringe was so overwhelming, guys. It was so bad. Like, it was embarrassing how bad. You started to get embarrassed for Trump that he would do this. And I love all of these people that are like, oh, they're kind of buying into it. Like, oh, it's Trump. It's funny. Guys, you're to the point now where Trump could literally drop his drawers and take a dump on your forehead. And you'd say, oh, it's Trump. It's funny. Oh, poop on me, Trump. It's funny. Haha, isn't it funny, guys? We're funny. That's how pathetic you guys are getting. This is so ridiculous. So to explain what happens here, I'm going to play the video. There's always, after the World Cup medal ceremony is finished, the team gets onto the stage and they have their big moment. You've probably seen the videos. They have their moment. They lift the trophy and the fireworks go off and they dance and sing and it's all fun. They're celebrating. They won the World Cup. Nobody gets on the stage with them. That's the players' moment. With all the other noise and all the other cameras and the interviews and the politics of it and everything. It's like everything that goes into the World Cup and they get their moment. That is the players' moment to be on the stage and get the celebration after all the media and the politics and everything is done. They get their moment and Trump had to make it about him. So they always give this moment to the players. This is always for the players and the team only. And watch as Trump makes an ass of himself by refusing to get off the stage here.
He's telling him to do it. It's happening again. Oh my God.
So Infantino, the president of FIFA, who's friends with Trump, even he has to run over there and try to grab him and say, can you get off the stage? You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing FIFA. You're ruining this moment for the team. You're making it all about you. Can you not be a pompous, selfish ass for one moment? And watch Trump just refuse. He's like, dude, get off the stage, man. Get off the stage. And he just says, nope, I'm going to make it about me. This is all about me. I'm going to pretend I played for the team. Now, if Biden did this, you already know what people would be saying. If Biden did this, they'd be saying he has dementia. I mean, look at this. This is the moment. Like, this is Trump's dementia moment. Now, I don't think Trump actually has dementia. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. For whatever reason, Trump just wants everything to be about him. Trump literally has to be in everything. He has to make everything about him. So he just did it again. This is the moment. So Trump, if this was Biden, this is dementia. Let's be perfectly honest. If this was Biden, every single Trump voter would be saying Biden has dementia. Look, he got lost on the World Cup stage and bombed a photo. Dementia Biden did a photo bomb because he got lost on the FIFA World Cup stage. But Trump does it and they just cover it up and they say, oh, it's funny. And we all know why he did it. It's not because he had dementia. It's because he has a Messiah complex, because he has a deteriorating narcissistic issue. So pathetic, man. It's like, it was enough with the medal ceremony and everything else, but for Trump to do that, just so embarrassing, man. Trump has gone from a national treasure, a national pride, to an international embarrassment. And oh, by the way, you've got Trump up there. You've got the whole Trump family was there in a luxury suite. Hey, I have no problem. I like the World Cup. I'm not, hey, you want to go enjoy a sporting event? Not here to judge. I do the same thing. But you know what? I'm not the family that just made billions of dollars in the stock market on insider trading. I'm not the family that just made billions of dollars in the crypto market with rigged trading. I'm not the family that just started a war in the Middle East where 2 soldiers, Trump says he thinks 3, have died this weekend alone, and you're up there posing in the World Cup ceremony while the world is burning, while people are dying, while people are going broke. So again, I don't blame them. You want to go enjoy the World Cup, fine. But let's just be perfectly clear. As you guys are in a luxury suite making the World Cup about you, as you guys are there in probably a multi-million-dollar expenditure for the whole Trump family to go to the World Cup, I guarantee you it costs millions of dollars. All things considered, the travel, the security, all of it. I guarantee you it cost them millions of dollars to attend this. As you guys are doing that, Americans are still going broke. Americans are dying in a war in the Middle East. And Trump is up there grandstanding and smiling, refusing to get off the stage at the World Cup final because he thinks everything is about him all the time. It's a moment of international embarrassment. It's a moment of national politics where you can say, yeah, this is the problem right here. This is the problem right here. Hey, if Trump was actually fixing the economy, hey, if Trump was actually not a globalist, but a nationalist, if Trump didn't get us involved in another war, maybe the optics aren't so bad. But unfortunately, all of those things are true. Now, FDA says review of Taylor Farms lettuce shows cyclospora finding was false positive. So they said it came from this place. They said it came from this produce. Turns out it didn't. I told you guys, I told you last week they did not have this thing under control. I told you something else was going on. Now, there's a rumor that apparently people think they're getting it from public pools and people think it's spreading in public pools. There's another conspiracy theory that it's spreading with the smoke that's coming in from Canada. I don't know, folks. Just hope it doesn't happen to you, I guess. Just hope you don't eat it or whatever, breathe it, whatever the hell is going on. Let's see here. So this Sunny Hostin story, they got the body cam footage. Guys, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. So Sunny Hostin on The View with her woke co-hosts, they're always talking about how they're against status and privilege, right? The hosts of The View, they would never assert their privilege. They would never assert their status to try to help themselves out or help their family out. And then that's exactly what Sunny Hostin does. The body cam footage comes out. Her son gets arrested. Here, let me see. I think the video kind of encapsulates the irony of this here.
Would be at the very least charged.
Tell them your mother is a federal prosecutor.
Yes. Hey, Mom, how are you? This is Officer Gomez. Your son's fine. Hey,
Officer Gomez,
how are you?
This is
Yes, yes.
So that's Sunny Hostin. Obviously, they're censoring her name for the body cam.
federal prosecutor.
Okay, fair
That's my
enough.
son.
Yeah.
He's a Harvard graduate.
Yeah.
He's
So Sunny Hostin tries to get her son out of trouble by saying, I'm a federal prosecutor and he is a Harvard graduate. These liberals are such phonies. Sunny Hostin these liberals on TV are the biggest phonies you're ever going to meet. They're the biggest phonies you're ever going to meet. They pretend like they stand against status and privilege, and then as soon as they can assert their status and privilege to get an upper hand on everyone else, they do it. Without even hesitating, they do it. And look, I'm not even mad. Whatever. It's her son. She's trying to get him out of trouble. We would do the same thing, okay? But at least we're not on record every day pretending like we're better than that. You know, she's on record how many times with The View, asserting status, asserting privilege. How dare you? And now she's on police body cam footage doing exactly that. It's beautiful, honestly. It's beautiful. Could a dog win an election? Dissatisfied with Tallahassee politics? Arnie the dog wants your vote. If you aren't satisfied with any of the four candidates vying for Tallahassee's top elected post, there's a new mayoral candidate for you to consider. Arnie, a lovable basset hound, is wagging his way into the mix. Now, obviously, the dog can't win, but this thing is mostly a spoof, and then they're using AI videos of this popular dog to make other political talking points like against property taxes and other such things. What's funny is, let me see if I can actually find the quote here. People are saying they're going to write him in instead of actually voting because they are so sick of politics. So there might be a dog that gets more votes than the actual people in this race. Meadows says he's already had people tell him they're voting for Arnie or that Arnie is the best person for the job. I think it just shows a lot of the dissatisfaction with the candidates we've got. Could a dog that is a spoof candidate get more votes than a real candidate? Because that's how sick and damn tired Americans are with our politics and our politicians. Keep an eye out for Arnie. I don't think he could win, but I could see there being some interesting numbers just because people are so sick of the politicians. How about a sea turtle found 7 miles south of the Florida Keys? Massive 450-pound turtle carried ashore to rehab. They've got some images of this beast. 450-pound monster. This is in the back of a carrier van here to try to give you some size. A 450-pound giant here. Got to be at least 70 years old, I would imagine, maybe older. We're saving the turtles, guys. See, not everything is bad. Not everything is bad, guys. We're saving the turtles. Give you a little bit of hope for humanity. We need to do more for the turtles. That's how we can get good karma here, guys. Did you know that? Saving a turtle brings you great karma. All right, did anybody do it? Did anybody see The Odyssey this weekend? It did very well, by the way, I'll tell you, obviously. The Odyssey has grossed around $264 million in its worldwide opening. That puts it over budget. Biggest opening for Christopher Nolan, surpassing even The Dark Knight Rises. By the way, who was around for that? What was that, 2008? I think 2007, 2008? Whenever The Dark Knight came out. Really, The Dark Knight was like the last big movie opening I remember people really getting excited for, at least in my social circles. I'm not saying it hasn't happened since, obviously. But that was the last time I ever got excited for a film or for a movie that I felt like I really wanted to go see on the opening night. Me and my friends went and saw The Dark Knight. I guess the only other one would be when they came out with the new Star Wars. I had some friends that were into that. Third biggest opening for an R-rated film ever. Biggest opening for a live action film so far this year. $250 million budget, 264 in the opening weekend. People did a time crunch. How often does Ellen Elliott Page as Achilles appear in the film? It's, I believe, under 5 minutes. A minor role, but I guess enough to kind of throw you off enjoying the film, potentially. And then the Black Helen of Troy, I think it was about 2.5 minutes. So combined in a 2-hour film, it's less than 10 minutes that either of them get screen time. You know, but I do plan on seeing it. I think I'm going to see it soon and then probably do a movie review because I'm the best in the media. I'm the best in the political media at movie reviews. There's nobody even close. So I'll be able to deliver the real movie review for you. If you're waiting for my review before you decide to go see it or spend money on an IMAX ticket, wait for my movie review. I do think we will do it. What was more striking to me, let's say, forget about whether you care about, Elliot Page, looking like a kid in a daddy's suit or jacket. Forget about Helen of Troy being black. What's striking to me watching these clips that are surfacing over the weekend, why is the film so dark? Why is the film so dark? And why are they depicting these Greek characters, many of them, as like evil, conniving, like Mexican drug dealers? It's just weird. It's like that's who they cast to do this. Now, I'm going to withhold judgment as far as the film until I see it. But I will say the reason why, if you're going to see it in theaters, you should see it in IMAX is because the way it was filmed for IMAX. And when they do eventually put it out there for streaming or for purchase, you'll probably never be able to watch it like that again. So if you are going to watch it, I would definitely recommend go seeing it in IMAX. It was filmed for IMAX, and I don't know if you'll ever be able to see it again out of theaters. So, but I'll let you know. I'll probably go see it. We'll give you the real movie review. Nobody does it like me here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Some crazy scenes in Dearborn, Michigan. What in the hell is going on here? This is from Derek Evans, where I found this video. Guys, what in the world is going on? So there's the Muslim takeover they're warning you about. But if you want to know where it's coming from, if you want to know why Muslims are taking over our country, if you want to know why Muslims are moving to the West and establishing now their church, their caliphate, if you're wondering why they're moving here, let's go to Israel. This is an Israeli woman who is part of the new group of Israelis that are taking over Gaza and taking the land and conquering Gaza right now. She's asked, well, what will happen to the Palestinians now that you guys are here taking their homes and taking their land and kicking them out of their home country? What will happen now to the Palestinians?
I'm very proud.
And what about you? Obviously, one state solution only.
I want them to know that there is a big future for them in Europe.
There it is. There it is. Yes, we, the Israelis, have displaced 2 million Gazans and Palestinians. And the ones that survive, we want you to know that you have a bright future in Europe. Isn't that interesting? Tell me, how is it that these Israelis just decide that they're going to take people's land and then send them to Europe? Golly gee, can you imagine? Here come the Israelis. They take your land, they take your home, they kill your family, they unalive your family. Oh, we got to censor ourselves here. You're not allowed to say the K word. You have to say unalive now. It's the politically correct term. So here come the Israelis. They come into your country, they destroy everything, they take whatever's left, and then they say, but you have a future in Europe. What? You speak for Europe now? So the Israelis, I mean, do you understand that this is the mentality, though, guys? This is what I'm trying to tell you. If you want to know why all of the Muslims are here, you just saw why. Because Israel destroys all of these people's land. They destroy their property. They move them out, and they just say, yeah, you go to Europe now. Yeah, you go to America now. You're not here now. We're clearing you out. You go to the white countries now. You go to the European countries now. You have a future there, not with us. And then they pretend like they're trying to stop the Muslims from invading your country. And then they pretend like they're on your side when it comes to a Muslim invasion. They're the ones causing it. They're the ones doing it. They're the ones that somehow feel entitled to Western foreign policy. They say, okay, we're going to displace 10 million Muslims, and then we're going to send them to Europe, and we're going to send them to America. That's what they're doing. That's what they've done. So just understand. Whenever you see these videos, because they're not going to stop, they're only going to get worse now. Whenever you see these videos, whenever you see these mosques, whenever you see the Islamification of these American cities, you say, how did this happen? Because Israel displaced them and sent them here. That's why. It's not complicated. Don't be scared. Say it. Stand up. Stand proud. Say it. It's true. And that's their mentality. They feel entitled to it. Yeah, we just displaced 2 million Palestinians. They go to Europe now. Yeah, they go to Europe. Yeah, the United States of America might have to bomb Iran into oblivion, but that's okay. The Iranians will go to America. And then, by the way, what do you think their psychology is like when they're forced into a country that they don't want to be in? What do you think their psychology is like when they're forced to move to a foreign land where they don't fit in, they don't want to fit in, and they feel that the new leaders of the country that they live in are the reason why they're forced to live there instead of their home country? What do you think that psychology is like? How do you think they're going to behave? dumbest foreign policy on the history of the earth, and we all know why they're doing it. And Trump could arguably end up being worse than Bush when this is all said and done. He's competing, though. He certainly is. All right, this is the kind of stuff that should be driving us crazy as Americans. This is the type of regulatory burden that we have to deal with as American citizens. You're not even allowed to build what you want on your own land. Listen to this story.
Hey, so the government won't let me live in this treehouse that I spent the last 4 years building, and the reason is incredibly stupid. As we already established, the county said I could build a treehouse, and the county seats changed, and the new guy said, hey, no, never mind, you need a permit for that. And that turned into like a 1.5 year battle, and they didn't want to give us a permit. And when they finally did give us a permit, they said, okay, fine, you can build it, but you need to make it bigger, up to 1,200 square feet, to meet our minimum size requirements, you know, so we can tax you more. So we got the permit, and now there's a new problem. Now they say that my parents cannot build a house on the same property, which is over 100 acres, by the way, because now the tree house is the primary residence. So we can't do another house. So we meet with the county again, and we're like, hey, so the treehouse is still only 750 square feet. We have not made it bigger, which means it meets your size requirements for an accessory structure. So we should still be able to build a main house over there. Nope. That's impossible. Why is that impossible? Well, because our ordinance strictly prohibits building the accessory structure before the main house, because then people just never build the main house. Yeah, but we're actually trying to build the main.
All right. I get it. The government sucks and they won't let you do what you want on your own property. You can't even build on your own property. Good Lord. All right. All right, guys. Is there anything else I want to do before we go to the super chats? You want to hear Mark Levin make some, what is Mark Levin saying on his radio show? It's always worth, if you want to know where the foreign policy comes from, it comes from minds like Mark Levin. What is he saying here?
The president likes to say that, but for him, Israel would have been destroyed. First of all, he's been a great, great friend of Israel. Militarily, we have done more with Israel than any president in the past, but the idea that Israel would be destroyed is preposterous.
I love the opening here. Oh, we still like Trump. You know, former never Trumper Mark Levin did everything he could to stop Trump from getting elected. Mark Levin, who then only decides to support Trump because he's doing everything for Israel, because Trump has basically turned everything into a funnel for Israel's interest in the Middle East. But that's not enough for Mark. Mark also wants you to recognize that Israel is better than America. Mark also wants you to recognize that Israel doesn't need America. America needs Israel. He wants you to know that. And he's going to scold Trump. It's like, yeah, Trump has done everything to save Israel, but I'm never going to be fully appreciative, because at the end of the day, I'm always going to say that Israel is better than America and America needs Israel. So that's a nice little opening salvo.
I read somewhere that Israel has weapons of mass destruction. Does anybody think Israel would be blown off the face of the earth by the Iranians as opposed to the other way around if it was necessary?
Now, isn't that ironic? So here's Israel telling us we need to go to war against Iran because they might get weapons of mass destruction and use them, as the very Israeli lobby is threatening to use weapons of mass destruction against Iran. Well, golly gee, I wonder why Iran wants a weapon of mass destruction when Israel is threatening using weapons of mass destruction against it. Golly gee.
Now, this could change, but isn't it interesting that Iran has hit many, many Arab countries since we have bombed them during the past several days, but they haven't fired a single missile at Israel? What's that all about?
Mark, as if you don't know this, they're hitting U.S. bases in those countries. You know, these are the countries that we pay billions of dollars to in foreign aid. In fact, we just cut another check to Jordan. Well, we will. Congress just voted on it. $2 billion for Jordan. You know this, Mark, you little rat, you cockroach, you human roach. Actually, you're not even a human roach. You're a cockroach in a human meat suit. You're actually a roach. You might be like the alien from Men in Black, where it's just a tiny little alien in a skin suit, computer operated. Mark Levin is like a cockroach inside a human operating suit. Oh, isn't that funny, Mark? You know damn well the reason why Iran is attacking these Arab nations is because they're attacking U.S. bases that are in these Arab nations, and America pays tens of billions of dollars annually so that we can have these bases in these foreign countries. And the only reason we have to pay $10 billion annually, plus whatever it costs to operate these bases in the Middle East that are getting attacked now, the only reason any of that is happening is because of the Israeli lobby that owns our government.
Now, they may, don't get me wrong, but they've been warned if they do, they're going to be pulverized.
Oh, so Israel gets to have nuclear weapons and threaten to use them against Iran, but Iran doesn't get the same courtesy, and that's how they expect these negotiations to go.
And there's not going to be anything that we can do here to stop Israel from doing what it needs to do, nor should we.
Oh, so Israel will attack Iran, even if that means the United States of America is going to get attacked. Got you. So now you understand how this relationship works. Israel will have no problem with Americans dying at all. We better end this partnership, guys. The longer we stay in this relationship with Israel, the worse our status is going to get. The worse our status is going to get domestically, the worse our status is going to get internationally. It's going to keep sinking the longer we stay attached to Israel. Really sad. All right, I didn't get to this last week. I want to make sure I get to it today. We saw Dr. Schwartz here. Nice star necklace. We saw Dr. Schwartz here. She's the new CDC director. Aaron Siri, he has got to be the number one when it comes to legal action against the vaccine and big pharmaceutical complex. He's calling out Dr. Schwartz. Dr. Schwartz indeed has an impressive record of service-crushing rights with vaccine mandates and disciplining those who dare decline these products. She led the nationwide COVID-19 vaccine deployment and has a long track record of directly issuing rights-crushing civilian and military vaccine mandates, including mandating injection of smallpox, anthrax, and flu vaccines. She even disciplined those that refused. She then added to that impressive record by becoming an executive at United Healthcare Group. It is impressive how even under this administration, industry will get their pick. Someone who cannot possibly objectively oversee CDC's vaccine program, which has, between 1986 and 2026, gone from 3 injections to 29 injections, including in utero, by an infant's first birthday, while chronic childhood disease has gone up from 10% to over 40% of children nationwide, most related to immune system dysregulation. So that pretty much sums that up. So the Trump administration literally picked a big pharmaceutical hack. The Trump administration put a big pharma representative as their choice for CDC. I don't know if she's going to get approved. At this point, I'd probably say she's not going to get approved. And thank God. Oh, but they tried. They said, here's a black woman that wears a Star of David necklace. There's no way they can block her. The biggest CDC operative you've ever seen, the biggest vaccine operative inside the CDC you would have ever seen. At least, since we've become aware of how this stuff operates. They said, black woman, Star of David necklace, we can slip this one in. We'll be able to slip this pharmaceutical tyranny past the people. I don't know if that one's going to work. Another total betrayal by Trump, by the way. Let's see. We mentioned this earlier. Ben Shapiro comes out against J.D. Vance. Yeah, we know why. He also came out against Trump, so no surprise there. Oh, guys, everybody's doing it, guys. You know, we need to get some credit here. Everybody's going blonde. Everybody's going blonde. Patrick Byrne joining the cause. Even Seth Rogen. What is going on? There's more. More have gone blonde, guys. There are even some females that have decided they saw Schroyer's look. They wanted to go with it. We're moving, man. We're moving things, making things happen. Quickly, a couple other leftovers here. This is all happening at the same time, by the way. New York City housing crisis hits DEFCON 1 as rents jump to more all-time highs. So rents go to all-time highs. Nobody can afford it. So then nobody can afford to own, nobody can afford to rent. So what happens? The super rich aren't just buying mansions, they buy the entire block. Landmaxers like Ken Griffin and Larry Ellison snap up neighboring properties to create private compounds. They're literally buying up everything, guys. And so what is the left going to do? They're going to address this politically. The right is going to let this happen and even embrace it. The left is going to attack this politically. The left sees a billionaire backlash and an opening for a wealth tax. You know, you don't have to like it, and I don't, but you have to recognize that this is the reality. The Republican Party has failed again to address economic issues. And it's more than just failed. They've created a political culture that they actually like the economic issues. They've created a political culture where they're going to pretend like they don't exist. And the left is going to tap into this in the midterms and probably in 2028. And I think do quite well. I think it's going to work quite well for them. All right, before we go to the super chats, just a little ditty that I heard this weekend that I thought maybe you'd enjoy.
And I'm proud to be an American where healthcare isn't free. And we send all of our money to the Israelis. And I proudly stand up. Wait, I can't. Lost my leg to diabetes. Ain't no doubt, can't afford this land. I'll be renting eternally.
Ah, yes. The American dream. Indeed. All right. That's everything for today. Let's go to our super chats. A little bonus time in the super chats today. No, that was not me. That was not me in the video. That's funny, though. That is funny, but it's not me. Sorry to say, it's not me. All right. Quite a bit of super chats on the docket today. We start with Dus Vault. Imagine paying all that money to take your kids to a World Cup final, and then you have to witness a Rabbi Shmuley victim chimp out. So Rabbi Shmuley was at the game, and he was asking for a refund. He wanted a refund because I guess he didn't like the score or the outcome. I mean, you want to talk about stereotypes. I demand a refund. I want my money back. Okay, Shmuley. Am I allowed to tell another joke, guys? You know, it's amazing, the World Cup. All these different people coming to our country and uniting and having fun and sharing experiences over sports and food and culture. It really does bring the world together. We got to witness this with the World Cup. It was such a great experience. We did such a great job. Everybody came here and everybody got along. You know, it was even amazing. We saw so many instances with the different countries and Christian countries and Muslim countries, and it's amazing. You know, we witnessed during this World Cup Christians and Muslims even getting along. Really is amazing. The World Cup, such a unifying experience that even Christians and Muslims got along. But there was one group that didn't. There was one group that didn't get along. There was one group that constantly was involved in bickering and fighting and complaining throughout the whole thing. Don't do it to him. Shmuley is like the worst public representation you can have. Oh my gosh. Just be glad he's not, if you're, you don't want Shmuley representing you. It's like the worst PR you can have. The real Emperor Palpatine. I swear if I hear one more tard say, look, it's 17, I'm going to run through my wall. Yeah, well, you're getting that? Is that what the Q people are saying with 17 Americans dead? It's not funny, actually. I get what you're saying, but yeah, it's not funny. Captain, I know our education system isn't the best. The only conclusion I can come to is that we as Americans are just stupid, plain and simple. We fall for the same propaganda, same playbook. It's disgusting. You know, there's an element of the dumbing down of the country that is undeniable. But I also think you have to recognize that people have been propagandized into such, they can't even fathom the reality anymore. And that's why the, awakening process, however you want to put it, that's why it can be painful, shocking when you have to go through that and you realize, yeah, you basically were raised in a world of lies. It can be shocking. I think more positively of the American people. They've been dumbed down. Ignorance is definitely an issue, maybe more than stupidity. I guess the only question is, can we overcome that? Gideon, you knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. Yeah, that was either the ultimate admission from Trump or it's going to be the ultimate irony. James Wickstrom, it's them, stupid. I don't know who James is. Ken Rose, thank you. Tete, Spanish Golden Age, La Senor Fishback Espanales. You know, I didn't even get to I've got so much other news on the desk. I didn't get to it today. The fact that have you seen that Fishback, anti-Fishback ad? I guess I can pull that one up quickly. Let me see if I can find this one quickly. Yeah, here we go. So this is an ad. Apparently they spent at least $10 million running this ad during the World Cup. That's the number that's being thrown around. Now they're just basing that off of what a 30-second ad buy during a World Cup game costs. It's $10 million. But they've obviously spent more than that with this ad because it aired other places too. So they have spent tens of millions of dollars, but specifically they ran this anti-Fishback ad during the World Cup.
Is this really what you want your Republican Party to look like? It's time to act before normal people are shut out of the GOP forever. That action is responsible for content this advertising.
You know what's funny about that? You guys have already gotten normal people out of the GOP. Normal people have already left the Republican Party. That happened after about 6 months of this administration that turned into nothing but foreign and special interests. Now that MAGA and the Trump administration is all about the surveillance state and all about Israel's interest in the Middle East, all the normal people have left. They're all gone. Okay? So that's just addressing the messaging. So they wouldn't be spending all of this money if they weren't scared. Okay? So I don't know if they're scared of James. I don't know if they're scared of Dan. I don't know. Maybe both. But they wouldn't be spending all this money unless there was a fear there. But you know what? Here's what's funny as I'm watching this. Don't take it too heavily. I don't want you to take this too heavily and get over analytical, because that's what they'll do. They'll get over analytical and they'll think, oh, well, you're supporting what was in the video. Don't get over analytical. Just listen to what I'm saying. If they think that video is going to have a negative response from voters, I think they have another thing coming. I actually think people will see that video and actually like Fishback and Bilzerian more. I think people will actually see that video and say, wait a second, who are these guys? They seem to be anti-establishment. Let me look into them. I'm telling you guys, this is the biggest mismeasurement the Republican Party is making right now. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's really based off of ignorance or they just don't have any other choice. They've decided we work for the Israeli lobby. We work for the big tech lobby. So that's who we work for. That's who we prioritize. But if they don't understand, again, as I say, if you think attacking some candidate because they don't support Israel in the Middle East, if you think that's a win, you are so out of touch with where the average American is at right now, you have no idea. Trust me, you just gave Fishback and Bilzerian the best free marketing that you possibly could have. When you now have their campaign ad that you paid for, because they would never do it, obviously. When you pay for a campaign ad that has Fishback, Bilzerian, chopping up an Israeli flag, I got bad news for you, Republicans. People actually like that. They're not going to look at, they probably don't even know. They'll say, they won't even look at that and say, oh, Candace Owens, oh, Tucker Carlson, oh, Nick Fuentes. They don't even know. They won't even know who they are. Okay, so that's going to be a total swing and miss. They're going to say, who are these people? They don't even know. They're sick of all the foreign propaganda about the Middle East. So the Middle East stuff, that's not going to hit. The only thing people are going to take away from that is that Fishback and Bilzerian are anti-Israel. And guess what? That's actually the popular opinion right now. So my guess is that ad will end up backfiring. Owen, Mamdani said he will arrest Netanyahu. Right. So this is Trump addressing his friend Mamdani not to arrest Netanyahu. Right. Gov doesn't care about the troops forced vax. DZ, and they've kind of waffled and gone back and forth even with that too. There's been no justice in that situation. Regarding Trump, an apology isn't enough. We're more than 70 years overdue for another war crime trial, I think is what you meant. This time, neoconservative edition, or do you mean trail? I don't know, Ken. Sorry if I'm misreading that. Rodri over dirty Filipina Olivia Rodrigo. Well, that's the Spanish soccer player. I don't know what that has anything to do with Olivia Rodrigo. Brianna Morella muted me on Twitter. You know what, Tay? You probably deserved it. Okay, let's just be honest. NATO natters. How much longer do we do nothing? Well, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Who's we and what is nothing? Now, I can only assume what you mean. So I'm just going to say this. If you're doing nothing, then that's on you. If you're doing nothing, that's on you. There is plenty that you can be doing. This is what I'm saying. We don't have a political movement. The political movement that we fought for and took a lot of effort to get into the White House, it's gone. It's been stolen from us. It's been co-opted from us. We don't have a political movement right now. We're building another one. We're kind of feeling it out. We got to get through this midterm cycle. So now it's all about you. If you're doing nothing to improve your health, if you're doing nothing to improve your look, if you're doing nothing to improve your life, if you're doing nothing to improve your family, your friends, the things around you, then that's on you. That's the only thing you can do. We don't have a political movement right now. The people we put in power, for the most part, don't work for us. Trump is not working for us. He's betrayed us. So yeah, there is nothing that we can do politically. Now, if you're suggesting what I think you're suggesting, you have to at least have the awareness to know that that is an unsuccessful endeavor right now. You simply don't have the numbers. You have not crossed the critical threshold. It's just simply not there. And that's why nobody's doing it. So I guess the answer to the question is because everybody knows we're not there yet. It's not in our favor yet. But if you're doing nothing to improve yourself, then that's on you. That's all you can do right now. Bill Maher has somehow infiltrated MAGA movement. Well, yeah, because it's pro-Israel now. So of course Bill Maher likes it because it's pro-Israel now. Election interference. Yeah, what happened to that, by the way, guys? Where are the raids? Where are the arrests? Where's any justice for the election interference, the stolen election from 2020? Oh, it was just a big show last weekend and it didn't mean anything? That's right. It's now been, 4 days since Trump's big election interference speech, and they've done nothing. Beware, hope and trust manipulation is the main weapon of the enemy. Main weapon, he says. Same thing they did to the left, they are doing to the right, the pro-Israel lobby. Now the right goes around calling people racist, Nazi, support foreign aid, and FISA, trying to get cancel people fired. Yeah. It is. The woke right, the woke left almost like doesn't even exist. I mean, it's still there, obviously, but it's not really active in engagement like the woke right is. Why Florida man install Starlink, no probs, but not Texas man? I already addressed this. I can't get Starlink at my house. Guys, I'm trying so hard to get over this hurdle. I've explained this before. I can't. Everything right now is prioritizing getting into the new studio. And then after that, we can take a bunch, we can start doing a lot of other stuff, but that's priority number one right now for the Owen Report, for the Win Network, is getting into a new studio. I'm trying to leap one of the final hurdles right now. It has been insane how hard it is to make this move. Okay? And I'm in the process of figuring out maybe by the end of this week if I can leap this current hurdle. And if I can't, I'll readdress that. And then you can ask this question again, and maybe I'll tell you. But you already know why we don't have Starlink. I don't know. The internet didn't even go out, guys. I don't know what happened. I think it's sabotage, quite frankly, but whatever. In Florida, $3.73 per gallon. Yeah, I'll do an update on gas prices here, but it went over $4. It's like the cheapest, I think, is $3.60. So regular, I think, was $3.60. Premium was $4.50. And diesel was like $4.60. It's off memory. I don't know. I got to fill my tank soon, so I'll do an update here for Austin, Texas. It ain't cheap. I'll tell you that. It's not cheap. Gas is more expensive again. Trump actually signed the declaration of World War III. You know, I think about that. And I think if you were even in a world war, like, they wouldn't even tell you. Because I think you could make the case that we're in a world war right now. But there's so much propaganda in the history books that there's this like presentation of world war. There's this concept of world war, and it's so foreign to us that we wouldn't even know what it would look like if it hit us. So we just think about, you know, D-Day. We think about Berlin. You know, these are the big scenes that we think about when it comes to World War II. We don't think about trade and economics and proxy groups, but it's like all of that is already going on. You could argue Trump has gotten us into a world war already on behalf of foreign interests, not on behalf of our country. We're not helping our country. So you could argue that, but it just doesn't look like what we're trained to think World War looks like, so they don't have to tell us it's actually going on. Muchos Latina Blancas en la Copa Mundial. What is that going to be in Argentina? The next one, the last one was here. Photo bomber in chief. So bad. Sound bites and snapshots. Dan Goigino. How's Dan doing these days? Nobody knows. Mojave. Thoughts on scumbag politicians getting free box seats to World Cup finals, UFC events while pillaging the country for billions. At the very least, it's a horrible look. At the very least, I think I covered that. I think I covered that after you sent this super chat. I mentioned that in the last hour. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. The Trump family probably spent over $1 million to make sure everybody could be there at the game, while the average American will never get to experience even having $1 million in their entire life. But that's how it goes. 007 Samantha. Now when I hear Trump talk, it makes my blood boil. I hate him probably more than anyone on earth, a betrayer of the country, ashamed I voted for him. Well, you know what? There's not many other people in the media, especially that maybe, I guess, get labeled as right wing. I don't think you can label me as anything right now other than just I read the news. But I will tell you, you are not alone. Not by a long shot. There are many people in right-wing ideology, conservative politics. There are many people that feel the exact same way. Nobody else in the media will tell you this because they're scared, but you are not alone. Rob O'Neill could destroy the entire boomer paradigm. I'm telling you, this guy, man, his hero status, his legend status is growing. And it's already like top tier. Mold breaking. Dropped a penny. AJ is back to cupping the balls and swallowing the Trump gravy. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. So nice. Jeter's gift basket. Nice look. Lindsay loved the shaft of the drones the most, especially the penetrating drones. Those ones he really liked. Why are you shocked by Stephen? I'm not shocked by Stephen, and I don't care if he's Jewish. You know, don't fall into that trap. That's a trap they want to put you in. Stephen is just doing his job. My guess is if Stephen was president, we'd probably be getting mass deportations, by the way. My guess is if Stephen Miller was president, you'd actually be getting mass deportations, and anybody that gave out a CDL to an illegal alien would probably be in handcuffs. I believe that. Now, you might not like Stephen on foreign policy. Stephen might, he might have some foreign policy disagreements. But domestically, I bet you Stephen Miller would actually be executing Trump's domestic agenda. I actually think if we had Stephen Miller, we'd probably have like 5+ million deportations. Yeah. So it's not that I'm shocked the Trump administration isn't following through. I'm shocked that they're not following through and people are still supporting him. Viper Man, our foreign occupied government isn't going to do anything in our interests until we make them. Stoops the Cat. Hi, Owen. Pivoting to Kirk. Why do all of the exploding mic people seem to forget about the loud gunshot that rang out before he went down? People turned around in the crowd looking for a shot. I don't know if that's so convincing as far as trying to analyze the crowd's reaction. I don't know if that's so convincing for me to make that claim about the gunshot. Obviously, anybody can hear the shot, but you could make the argument that could be dummied. You could make the argument that could be fake. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not telling you to believe in the exploding mic or not. I do think it's interesting how we have seen a greater effort to prove the exploding mic theory than we have to prove that Robinson is the one that did it. But we'll see what happens when we get to the trial in September before we can really say that. So that's I'm just in a holding position until the trial, and we'll see. And when it comes into the news, I cover it. No, the judge wants a cut of the shekels. What judge is this? Flock is a distraction and political ammo. Politicians are already capitalizing on the deflock movement. Look at the data. There are over 50 million CCTV cameras in the U.S. pre-2024 before Flock. Well, that is a fair point. And if you've been following my show, I've always said that. I've always said that as far as the surveillance state is concerned, Flock cameras are like barely even registering. But hey, you know what? I'm not going to let a good PSYOP go to waste. So even if they are using Flock cameras as some sort of election PSYOP or distraction, well, we can still use that and say, hey, you're in a surveillance state. That's not good. We don't like that. And if this is your first awareness of it, okay, good. Let's use that to our advantage. And I think what's now been proven is watching these total sellouts, watching these total cucks and sellouts in, I guess, what would be considered MAGA now, or the MAGA defense team, the MAGA digital influence team, the same people that take the money from the foreign interests to post on social media, they're all pro-surveillance state now. So I say this has been a good thing. Everybody that you've seen support the surveillance state, you can now mark as a total sellout, a total shill, and not to be trusted. So the process has kind of ended up benefiting us in the short term. The globe is a lie, Earth is flat, NASA is a money laundering operation, and space is a bunch of bullshit. Ooh, that's fun. Need to get Eddie Bravo on. I get a real kick out of robots in the classroom. When's that deal going to go bad? I could go either way. Behave as if I cared. Ivan. Sam White. I want Flock cameras in every schoolroom. Oh. Let's see how that one goes over. Yeah. Drebe. Reject animatronics in the classroom. Animatronics in the classroom. Robot story time will be our downfall. Probably going to take over, honestly. They probably just want to automate it. Well, you can't risk having teachers teaching real history. You can't risk having teachers actually helping kids in the classroom. You need indoctrination centers. You can't risk the human element. FIFA World Cup 2026. Very nice. Very nice. Very good. We're coming together. That's right. All right. If he stopped both wars day one like he promised, I bet Spain would have danced and celebrated with him. What a shame. That's true. I actually agree. The whole world would have. And that's the great irony, is that Trump could have been that guy. Isn't that the craziest part of this? It's like when you try to look at all the different data points and you look at all the different angles, it's like, okay, here's what we're getting, here's what we've gotten, here's the direction. And you look at what could have been. Trump could have been the hero. Trump could have been the world hero. He could have been the international hero, and Trump's name would have been put into the history books as gold, the peacemaker, like, one of the greatest humans ever. And he blew the opportunity. He completely blew the opportunity, all for Israel's interest, all for the foreign donors, for Marian Adelson, for Mark Levin. It's insane. It's like you can't even believe it. And that's why it's like you try to rationalize it and you say, why? Is it the Epstein files? Is it something else? Why would you do that? Why would you take the greatest opportunity that any politician has ever had to actually change the world for good and to become a legend worldwide, a politician actually doing something good for the first time in like ever, and he sold it all. He literally sold it all for the foreign lobby and the big tech lobby. And maybe that's because Trump cares more about money than anything else at the end of the day. Maybe that's really as simple as that. He said, I don't want to be a legend for saving the world. I don't want to be a legend for stopping wars. I don't want to be a legend around the world for actually being a good guy in politics. And he sold out for money. Maybe it's just that simple. Crow Crisis, thank you. Joshua Hobensek, the BCN will be who you count on when it goes down. The Bacon National Cheeseburgers, the Bacon Cheeseburger Nationalists. Well, luckily, we are all in Texas. And that's true. For the reflecting pool. Yeah, where's the reflecting pool fund? Oh, that's right. It's coming out of your paycheck. Lone Star State Senator Ted Cruz PAC paid for the ad. Really? The anti-fishback was an AIPAC ad. Well, that wouldn't surprise us. Yeah, I figured you meant trial. That's all right. That's all right. Chop, chop. Supper is getting cold. Yeah, what's for dinner? I'm getting hungry. Lindsay loved the penetrating drones. There's favorite. Any drones that could penetrate, Lindsay was all in. He got excited. He started to stand up straight. Got really excited. Go listen to a shape charge detonation. Identical. I've looked at it all. Like I said, the case for the exploding microphone has had more effort put into it than the case for Tyler Robinson did it. But it's not fair to say that yet because we haven't seen the trial. So we still got a lot of stuff to look at. Here's one question. Here's one thing people are asking as we close out today's transmission. You can never, who knows what's going on as far as the defense is concerned, what's going on in their head and their prep for all of this. But one question people are asking or thing people are noticing, they're saying, well, you look at all the different arguments, you look at all the different cases, evidence points, whatever, anomalies, things that don't add up, that all of these people in the online community are pointing out when it comes to the assassination. And they're saying, why isn't the defense doing this? Why isn't the defense doing the same thing? Most recently, there is a ongoing theory, if you will, that Tyler Robinson was a couple hours outside of town at a steakhouse. And there is an employee at that steakhouse that is arguing, he says 100% Tyler Robinson was here. Now, of course, if Tyler Robinson is at that steakhouse, then the official timeline of events becomes, it's over. The official timeline of events is done. If they prove Tyler Robinson is at that steakhouse, the official timeline of events is over. The whole case gets reset. So people say, well, why isn't the defense doing this? Well, it's a fair question. I think, really, there's only two realistic conclusions. If you want to be conspiratorial, the defense is in on a cover-up. And I suppose that's the conclusion people are going to reach when you see all these different, wide open points when it comes to the official narrative, and the defense won't even poke at them. People are going to land on that conclusion. But the other thing you have to understand is when you're going through these cases, and it may depend on who you hire as a lawyer, you know, a lot of these lawyers philosophically are just going to say, we're not going online. We're not going to go online. We're not going to go into the commentary world to try to present evidence or build our case. They view it as too risky, or it's even kind of this like old classical belief that, oh, if it's on the internet, it's not real. So they kind of apply that here. But also, I don't think you know. I don't think you know all the things that are happening behind the scenes yet. And I don't think, you know, all the evidence had to be presented in order to prove probable cause here. But you really don't know where the defense is going to go when it gets into the weeds here. So I think there's still way too much to know. And then, you know, obviously this is a high profile case. We're almost a year past the actual assassination now. So, you know, people get a little antsy and they want results, but this stuff takes time and there's a process. Rob O'Neill, 1 year sober, nothing the DS fears more. Well, that's a good way to end it. Promoting sobriety. There's one way to get high, guys. There's really one way to get high that has really no real negative consequences. That's to get high on life. That's how you do that. You got to love life. You got to love life. You got to love your life. You got to love the people in your life. You got to love the things you're doing in your life. That's how you get high on life. That's how you do it. All right. Monday show in the books. We take a 20-and-a-half-hour break. You can go a little long today. A 20-and-a-half-hour break. We'll do it same time, same channel tomorrow. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to everybody for the super chats. God bless and Godspeed.